HD Button 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
After a night off, the Celtics and Knicks will resume their best-of-7 second-round playoff series this evening at Madison Square Garden. After a win on Saturday, the Celtics now trail 2-1. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Joe Mazzulla's team struggled early in this series, but looked a lot more like themselves over the weekend.
At the end of the day, we got a test in front of us, and I got a group of guys that I wouldn't want anyone else to be able to go through that. So this is the fun part. You don't get into the journey for it to be easy. So it's been dark, but in a good way.
Sam Hauser and his sprained ankle have been upgraded to questionable. Last night, Indiana led by 41 at the half and coasted to a 129-109 win over Cleveland to take a 3-1 series lead. Even worse for the Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell didn't play in the second half thanks to an ankle injury. He'll undergo an MRI today, but said after the game he'll be good to go for Game 5. Oklahoma City held off Denver 92-87. That best of 7 is even at 2 games apiece. The NBA's draft lottery will be tonight. Utah, the Washington Wizards, and Charlotte Hornets all have a 14% chance of landing Cooper Flagg at number 1 overall. And the Red Sox have won 4 out of 5. They beat Kansas City 3-1 yesterday. Rafael Devers hit a 440-foot two-run homer to dead center in the 6th to snap a 1-1 tie, and he remains this team's DH. The Sox road trip continues tonight in Detroit. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180. Give yourself a goal of losing 40 pounds by the 4th. It's doable, it's easy, and your summer self will thank you. Awaken180weightloss.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Some people play the game.
Jaylen Brown.
On 98.5.
Hey there.
Sarge GPT booting up.
Let me hear you say, boo, boo, boo.
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag.
Yeah, good luck, dude.
Nothing like a good tushy.
Uh-huh.
I love you. And I think you know that.
Excuse me?
Toucher and Hardy.
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fans and having some fun.
On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy. We are in the Town Fair Tire Studios. You can, of course, watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. That's
Fred, hello.
Hi, guy from Machine. Hopefully you've done so. It helps. Following us on social media, following us on YouTube. This is what the company desires. And YouTube is good. You get not only us and Joe live, you also get a lot of great clips from the middays and the afternoons, plus our exclusive content with the writers, Ty Anderson. It is Alex Barth, all those guys. It's really good.
Yes.
They're at all the practices and press conferences. Hope everyone had a wonderful Mother's Day.
Yes.
I took my ex-wife and children out for lunch with tip. $600 was the lunch.
Boy, oh boy.
The last one I did was an Easter brunch, and it's expensive. I couldn't believe how expensive.
I could not get into. See, I have this minimum at this country club, Woodland, and I couldn't get into the Mother's Day brunch. But I don't think they're overly happy with me over there. I've gotten 2 emails over the last week. I go to that place 3 times a year. You'd almost think it is has something to do with talking about them on the radio.
Feels like a paper trail has started.
It does. Or you could speculate, so I don't know if that's the case. But since I don't go there and I don't talk to anyone or bother anyone anymore.
Where did you go that charged you $600 for a brunch? There were only
It wasn't
4
a brunch.
of you,
It wasn't like a buffet.
Okay,
but,
there were 4 of you.
Yeah, 4.
Oh.
And only one and Stephanie had like 2 drinks, so it
Okay.
wasn't like we were ordering wine and stuff.
That seems hefty.
Well, it was $500, and then the tip ends up being $100.
Yeah.
So it was grilled 23 because I could get in, which is really nice. I hadn't been there in a long time, and the food was really good.
Yeah.
But I can tell you everything. Zoe got French onion soup to start. We got a shrimp cocktail, calamari. Stephanie got a Caesar salad. Then Stephanie got tuna tartare, which is like an appetizer. Zoe and Milo and I got steaks. They got fillets. I got the New York strip. We didn't get like Kobe steak or anything. And then
calamari.
we got a couple sides. And yeah, that was
Dessert?
That was no. Oh, and then Stephanie got like the pastry basket.
Oh,
but I mean but not for dessert.
No, but that pastry basket sends you over the top.
I mean, it was like $30.
Bread prices are.
But Grill 23 is great, and don't get me
Really
wrong,
is.
but it's a lot more expensive than it was. And it was never like inexpensive, nor should it be. I mean, it's like a nice steakhouse, but it's expensive. It's real expensive.
Okay, so how long did it take you to get to Grill 23?
Oh, well, that's a long time, which is funny because the traffic on 90 East was really, really bad. Mm-hmm. So it probably took like 35 minutes.
All right. So here's my question to you, Fred. Would you rather spend 35 minutes driving to a brunch and spending $600? Or would you rather spend, I don't know, $80? But you're going to have to drive an hour and 20 minutes to Newport so that you can eat hot dogs.
Oh, that's what you did, right?
because Marcy wanted to go to, I think it's called Wally's Wieners.
What?
I got to double.
I go to Newport a lot. Wally's Wieners.
Where is that?
Where is it in Newport?
Look, I'm not a Newport.
No,
guy,
but is it in
all
like
right,
town?
Yeah. So it's on that main drag,
Okay.
but it's at the far end.
Oh, that's still around? I know what that is. They had cornhole there. Okay, one time when it was raining, we went there. Oh, that's still open. The guy that owned that was really cool, I remember, because it was just the 4 of us, and there was like cornhole, and he was like bringing stuff out in the like garage area for us to use. It's right. It's like at the end by like way at the end of it.
Yeah, like by the time you get down there and you walk another couple blocks, there's like gas stations and stuff.
Oh,
you're getting toward the end of the main drag.
I've been there before. Yeah, I didn't know it was still there. That's awesome.
It was really good. Now,
Yeah.
I mean,
Worth a drive?
No.
No matter what you say.
so I know, Fred,
minutes,
you've been to Newport a lot. I think maybe that was my 3rd time there, like twice for weddings, and that's it. Do you want to go to Newport? No, I don't want to go to Newport. What am I? No, I don't want to. It was great. And just walking up and down, and yesterday anybody was outside. I'm sure it was the same, pretty much all over our listening area. Unbelievable day. Best day of the year in terms of weather. It was phenomenal. So the drive down there was nice enough. Getting out and we immediately went to Wally's Wieners. I mean, I set the GPS for Wally's Wieners. That is the destination. So and that's the other thing. It's tough to, sometimes find parking down there. There's a lot right across the street from Wally's Wieners. No problem. Plenty of parking. You get in right there. And then it's also kind of nice because there's only a couple of blocks to walk, further away, I guess, south of Wally's Wieners. And then you've got the whole strip to walk down one side and the whole strip to walk back. So we were down there for well over 3 hours between the wiener eating and the walking around.
Oh, Wally's Wieners is new. There used to be I wonder if it's the same people that own the old place. Yeah, Wally's Wieners is new. Okay, there used to be a place right down there. I wonder if it's the same owner. Yeah, okay. So I've never been there.
All right.
But it seems like the same place.
Yeah, but it spent a fraction of what you spent, but also that was the day, driving down. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have no sympathy, but I can tell you this, is that Milo has a game, and I guess part of the advantage of taking your ex-wife to brunch and spending that kind of money is she has agreed to pick Milo up late night at school today because Milo has a game. Remember how I thought it was Tabor or Thayer Academy?
Thayer Academy, yeah.
It's Tabor Academy, which is right next to the Cape. So he's got to go from Groton to the Cape, back to Groton. I did a GPS. It would take me like over 2 hours to get down there.
Yeah, because Route 3 is no bargain at any point.
Oh, no. This is in the no man's land. This is South Coast. This is down. It's down near Mattapoisett.
Oh my! Oh my!
Yeah, so I don't have to go,
and you can't get there from here.
Yes, exactly. So like I'm not going. So poor Milo is. The good news is they got to let him out of school at like 1 because the game's at like 4:30. There's no way, and they got to warm up. I mean, they got to let the pitcher warm up and stuff. So
that's like driving to Newport.
That's 195. Oh man. Oh, that's a long ways off. Good for you, Fred. Dodging that bullet.
Well, I mean, I told him because it's a league game and he won't play today, and I'm like, because this team is like really really good. I'm like, and he's a sophomore. I'm like, it's great he's on the team. It's great he made varsity and he'll pitch tomorrow, but but I'm like, dude, I can't go. Like I've been doing this a lot because. Even where he works out is in Hudson. So, like on Saturday, he wanted me to take him to Hudson, so I went to that. So, like, I'm driving, like, with my new gas mileage, I get, like, when I fill up, it's like a little over 400 miles of gas. I go through a tank and a half a week of gas. So, but Stephanie was nice because, you don't want the kid to take a lift home, after a day like that. So she's going to get him. But I did get out of doing that today, which I'm very excited by.
To get there.
I used to think it was bad when we'd have to go down to like Raynham for games when my daughter was playing. That's more than twice as far as the farthest place I had to drive.
24 to 495 to 195. Wow. You're right. You can't get there from here.
Yeah. So you see that my days of I used to complain about it, driving anywhere. Now it has to be very, very, very inconvenient. I just can't do that. I can't do that today. And if you're looking at it now, that's at this time of day. Imagine what that's going to be like.
5 o'clock,
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. That's got to be the farthest place away that he plays, right?
Yes,
that's got
by far.
Yeah,
by far, by far. With his team last year when he went to a different school, the basketball because he was on varsity basketball there. And the only reason I say that is because they had to move more. They played in New Hampshire and stuff, so I just didn't go. But I just had to get him in Waltham when he was done. So, he'd go back to Waltham and I'd get him. Now it's, Groton. So that's like a whole situation. All right. Blind Scott, he emails so much.
Fred, James Taylor and Carly Simon, they sent their daughter to Tabor Academy. But I wanted to ask you how you got to Grill 23 yesterday. You usually take Uber or the Green Line. I'm just curious.
I took a Lyft, and then Stephanie bought the Uber on the way back because the bill was $600.
Oh, what type of interaction was there with the Uber driver? Was it pleasant?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
He was very pleasant both ways. The Lyft driver was very nice, and then no one farted, so it was we were perfectly okay.
Oh yeah, this guy on the golf club yesterday, his name was Dick Conley. He's a Francis Ouimet scholarship. I think he's a real character. You should have him on like during the regular show. He was like a World War II veteran. It's like the oldest guy I've ever heard Hardy interview. It's pretty moving interview.
You love the golf show, Blind Scott, because yesterday you sent you were firing off emails about the golf show.
Yeah, I used to be a caddy master when I was younger. I really enjoyed it. I think it's pretty.
When did you
really
go
well.
blind?
Like when I was younger, they thought I had like a tumor blocking my optic nerve, but I went legally blind 20 years ago. But I went like totally blind in the past 10 years.
Okay. What does it look like? Like is it dark or is it blurry?
No, it's like white. It's like you're looking through like a white cloud. Like my sister's blind too. It's like it's like degenerative. It's just looking through a white lens.
It's not like total darkness. Are some people that are blind? Is it total darkness?
Yeah, they see total darkness. Some people don't even have any eyes. They have glass eyes.
Yeah. So my grandfather went blind, but it was like you're blind, and he could see. If you put a movie screen in front of him and he sat with his facing the wall, so his peripheral of his right eye was by the screen, he could see like a pinpoint of the screen.
Yeah, that was macular degeneration he had. It took
diabetes. Yeah, diabetes.
Oh, diabetes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's the leading cause of blindness. Yeah, it's really tough. It's tough for the older you get. To any disability, that as you get older, it really affects you. So. You could see the pain your grandfather went through. He really suffered him.
You know what's funny is that he was blind, so he couldn't drive, but he would walk still every day to church and off-track betting. He was able to walk to church and off-track betting, and he didn't carry a cane, and he was blind. He just knew.
People.
Go ahead.
People try to drive they'll try to drive that way. There's people driving these self-driving cars now. You'll hear them. Like I got the self-driving, and then you'll bump into people. Like I did that too for a long period of time. I just floored people to the ground around. I mean, I still do it even now. It's very dangerous. So that's irresponsible.
Wait, driving or walking?
Even walking. That's irresponsible that he didn't have a cane with him, because he could have really hurt somebody, because they don't know the.
Pop was a dangerous individual. There's no question. He was 90 years old and walking. I mean,
and then if you're gambling too, like you can't really see the denominations of the money, so you could run into all types of problems,
Well,
like
he was a middle school dropout, so I would imagine that he was betting big sums of money. So thank you, Scott. I think the people at Off Track Betting, when they saw the 85-year-old walk in, weren't trying to, when he was putting $3 a race, I don't think that they were trying to scam him.
No, probably not.
No. But he knew the way to church and the way to, as dangerous it may have been to walk down the streets of Kings Park, Long Island, to OTP, and wasn't in Midtown Manhattan, but yeah. But it was funny. He every day he went to church, and he knew the way, and Off Track Betting was right by church, so he would just go there into OTB, and then he would walk back. That's what he did every day.
That is an old school routine right there.
Yeah.
Church and the OTB.
He was so into church that when that scandal came out, like the Spotlight scandal came out, it like freaked him out so much, because he really thought that priests were like conduits to God. Like he believed that, he was so Catholic that he believed that like priests had like talked to God and stuff, that there were like these like supreme humans, that they were infallible. And so when that came out, and he believed the story, and when it came out, he didn't like that.
No.
It like really effed him up, because it was his whole plan. His whole post-life plan was, this is the way. And then when it wasn't,
blew up my entire retirement strategy.
Well, nuns had to take care of him, because I told you his dad was a criminal, and his mom died on the way from Ireland, and so he got sent in Long Island. The reason he lived in Long Island is he got sent to live with his aunts, who all lived together. I guess they were unmarried, and they made him pay for stuff, and he had his little brother, and so he had to go be a janitor at his middle school, so he just dropped out, and then he didn't have anyone to like take care of him, so the nuns took care of him. So that's like who fed him and everything were the nuns. So he was super into the Catholic Church. They were very good to him, except for that he was left-handed, and they would whip his left hand until he would learn to write with his right hand.
Yeah.
They would take a ruler and
is old
slam
school.
and slam.
Yeah.
Well, he's old as hell.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did that work?
Yeah, I mean he wrote with his right hand. You do it too. If every time you're writing with your left hand, they just whipping it. They whip it with a ruler. It seemed unnecessary. Is there something in the Bible there has to be about like being right-handed?
Yes, the left hand is doing the devil's work and things of that nature. Which is why if you had that type of upbringing, you were compelled to not use your left hand.
And it's not uncommon. I mean, there's like a ton of people whose grandparents got their left hands whipped. That's not something that's. But it didn't. But then they fed him and everything, so they were like, good to him, except for the whipping of his left hand.
Yeah, I was just gonna say one minor distraction.
Yeah.
The biblical scholar Adam 12, I take issue with what you just said.
Go on.
Only a few references to left-handedness, all with positive connotations in military context.
Oh, so wait, you mean that the church did something that's not in the Bible and like turned it into a whole thing that they claim is in the Bible? That never happens.
Here we go.
Stop it.
Here we go.
Blasphemy. Okay. Here we go.
All right.
Adam 12 at geocities.edu. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. The basketball last night, one good game, one bad game. And, yeah. I would party. You know what? I ate so much at lunch and I'm not used to it that I slept for 2 hours after it.
Oh, God bless. That's some good sleep right there. Like that.
I was so tired when we got back to Stephanie's house that I'm just like, I'm going up into the guest room here.
Look at you, Dagwood.
Couldn't even make it home. I was
upstairs. just exhausted. I was just, and I didn't do anything the night before. I was just like, I don't know. I just ate. I'm not used to eating that much.
You ate a steak at noon, yes.
Yeah, steak and shrimp and calamari and everything. I was just like, oh.
Yeah. Well, once you go to sleep, you feel pretty damn good when you wake up.
I slept for 2 hours undisturbed. I just set an alarm.
That's great.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Tune in to the next Celtics broadcast to find out which player really took care of business in the first half, sponsored by Cambridge Savings Bank. With CSB, you get a partner who puts you first so you can focus.
thing explodes.
98.5, the Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
We're touching Artie. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. Hardy, what say you?
I say that there were a couple of NBA playoff games last night. We'll be talking a lot of Celtics later as they get ready to play Game 4 this evening. But yesterday, the Indiana Pacers shocked some folks by jumping out to a series lead against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the Pacers are early on in their Game 4 with a 2-1 series lead. Maybe tried to undo themselves a little bit, even though they were leading early. There was something unfortunate for the Pacers and their fans early on in the game yesterday.
You bring up a very valid point there. The momentum is all in Indiana's favor.
Yep.
What Mathurin did there is simply unacceptable and inexcusable.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Now, what did Mathurin do?
He pushed DeAndre Hunter.
Exactly, and got ejected in the first quarter of yesterday's game.
Yeah, the best part was Mathurin kind of stepped back from Hunter like he hadn't done anything. So Hunter took 3 giant steps and pushed him to the floor. And everyone not seeing the first hit, usually the first hit's the one that goes unnoticed. Everyone thinking, oh, they're going to eject Hunter. Nope, refs saw the first one. They ejected Mathurin.
It's been, but flagrant 2, is he done?
Did he say flagrant 2?
Yeah.
Flagrant 2 is an ejection.
He said flagrant penalty 2. Is that correct,
Pat? Is that right?
That's what he said, yes.
Yeah, he's done.
But he didn't say that Mathurin was ejected.
He didn't add on that part, but that's the rule, and it looks like Joe is walking him out of the arena as we speak.
Now, as it turns out, it wouldn't matter as the Pacers once again took advantage of an injury on the other team. We'll get to that in a moment, but here's your final call.
Dominance by the Pacers from the very start of it and just exploded in that second quarter to cap off an 80-point half to all but put this thing to bed.
And the final is 129-109. It was 5 apiece. The Pacers then scored 9 straight. They would never trail in this game, just as Cleveland never trailed in Game 3.
That's
right.
right.
Cleveland's not ready. They were healthy for this one. You can make the excuse in Game 1 they were missing 3 key players. They had everybody out on the floor last night. And you were saying they took advantage of an injury. It was 80-39 at halftime.
Yeah, I think that. Don't you think that? Well, I know Mitchell's calf has been hurt, and they said ankle yesterday, but it was his calf. I'm hearing, on television, radio.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they took Mitchell out just to have him not play the second half so he could rest?
He talked to a reporter. His name is Chris Fedor, who writes for Cleveland.com. I assume that's a Cleveland plain dealer. And he said he'd be good to go for Game 5 with a smile. He's going to undergo a precautionary MRI today, but they were down, as I just said, 41 at halftime. I wouldn't have put him back in either. So I bet you he plays tomorrow night.
Here is Evan Mobley talking about his Donovan Mitchell's injury.
Yeah, we talked to him a little bit, but right now we just got to focus on us and focus on who we have. Hopefully he's good and we'll be good for Game 5, but if not, it's going to have to be whoever the next man up is, and we're going to have to step up. And the main thing right now is just
not lose by 1 million. I mean, they lost by 20, and it wasn't that close.
It was, the second half was all let's just get this done.
Right.
There are a lot of leads you could go back from. If you're down 80-39 at the half, you're not coming back from that.
Tough
Tough
ask.
Little difficult. Yeah, Cleveland wasn't ready. They were completely healthy, and they got their doors blown off. And that's what we were talking about beforehand. I told you, Fred, if Cleveland faced the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, I thought the Celtics would beat them in 5 or 6 games. There's a process in the NBA. You have to go and lose before you can go back and win. It's very rare that a team out of nowhere will run the table and win a championship. Oklahoma City was the number 1 seed in the West last year and lost, and they won a real tough game in Denver yesterday.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
Okay, thanks, John.
It's over in Denver. The Thunder
and reclaim home court advantage in this best-of-7 Western Conference semifinal series, doing it with grit, gall, resilience, and tenacity from 8 down in the fourth quarter.
And a Roger's thesaurus open in front of me on the table.
They strike big late, 29-18. They outscore the Nuggets in the fourth to win game 4, 92-87.
That's the difference between a team that has gone through it and had to win a tough road game as opposed to a team that hasn't gone through it and got their doors blown off.
It's also the lowest scoring quarter, I think, in NBA playoff history was the first quarter. The lowest scoring first quarter, it was 17-8 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, Denver struggled a little bit coming out of the gate.
Well,
yeah.
Denver is – everyone's playing poorly except for Aaron Gordon. It's Jamal Murray's not playing well, Jokic isn't playing well, and Michael Porter Jr. is invisible. So they have a lot of problems. And Jokic – well, he scored 27 points. He was 7 for 22 for the field. He wasn't good.
Yeah, he was 0 from 3. Not this game. He was 2 for 8 from 3 in this game, but I think he was 0 from 3.
No,
last game.
Jokic isn't playing up to the way he normally plays. Denver doesn't play their bench. Oklahoma City looks like this was a game that Oklahoma City didn't play well in. It was close, and they were able to put it away. I think this series is over.
Oklahoma City is so deep, and the fact that they have double bigs kind of not neutralizes Jokic, but makes life difficult for him. When you put Hartenstein and Holmgren on the floor at the same time, it's different.
Don't you agree
team.
that it's possibly mentally winning on the road in a close game like this where you didn't particularly play well?
Oh yeah,
is a huge mental boost for this Thunder team. They were down in the fourth, or at least down in the third.
No, they were down in the fourth
too. In the fourth,
yeah.
And so they were down in the fourth. I think they might have been down with 8 minutes left. And they came back. Gilgeous-Alexander wasn't great until the fourth, and then they it was that I thought that was a very impressive win by them.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma City could win these last two and wrap this series up in 6.
Yeah.
But again, you have the difference. A lot of these guys were here, and they lost to Dallas in the Eastern Conference semifinals and Western Conference semifinals. And here we are again. You face some adversity, but you've been there before. You know what it takes to win, and that's very cliche. But
no, it's pretty,
you have to go through a learning process.
It's pretty good. I mean, what's the last team that seemingly just got good in a season and went on to win the championship without having to fail either at a conference final or NBA finals level?
Last couple of years, Denver failed how many times before winning? Celtics lost in the Eastern Conference finals to Miami before they won. I mean, you need to have a certain checklist that you check boxes off before you get to this level.
Might be the 04 Pistons, the last true team.
Oh, here we go.
No, that 04 Pistons was picked by everyone to get swept by L.A. And
that's right.
No, the 04 Pistons was an anomaly. They weren't.
That's right.
They were not a particularly good team.
Didn't have a top 50 player of all time on it.
No, I disagree. They were a great team.
Oh
yeah.
Who was the great player? There's some good players, some really good players, but they were a great team.
Well, Ben Wallace is a Hall of Famer. Is Chauncey Billups a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Okay.
Tayshaun Prince, Hall of Famer.
He actually.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Tayshaun Prince at the end of his career wound up here. Did you know that?
I did not.
Played for the Celtics at the end.
For a minute.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Yeah. That was when Brad Stevens took over and they were in their transition and players are getting shuttled in and out every 2 weeks. Prince was one of those guys.
Tayshaun Prince was a great defensive player. I mean, he was really good. He had those. He looked like a monster from. I remember I said this on TV in Atlanta, and they got uncomfortable. But he looked like a monster from Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
you know how like their arms
grew legs.
Yeah, well, his arms would go down past his knees. Like he had those like super long arms. Like but that was a interesting team.
9 games for Tayshaun Prince, 2015. There you go.
I'm surprised I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
I was locked in on that 2015 team.
Yep.
Let's check in with the Red Sox briefly because they did play over the weekend.
Rafi clubs one in the air to center. Isbell goes back. It is gone. Oh my God!
What's making that noise is Bell. Because he had a dinger.
Oh, yeah. And that's all there is to talk about when it comes to
Ding,
Rafael.
ding, 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 ding. Isabel. Ring, 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 ring. Italian ices and dingers. Come get your Italian ices and dingers.
There it is. No other conversation needs to be had about Rafael
If you didn't
Devers.
get it, play the Devers.
Oh, you want it again?
Yeah.
Rafi clubs one in the air to center. Isbell goes back.
Yeah, see?
Isbell.
Yeah, Isabel. Isabel. Ding, 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 dinger. I ring during dinger. Isabel.
Isbell goes back.
Yeah.
Pretty happy. Pretty happy with it. It's pretty good.
Is it noon? I hear a bell. No, it's a dinger. Isabel.
Isbell goes back.
So Rafael Devers was the subject of other conversations outside of that home run yesterday. We'll be getting to that in depth a little bit later.
Well, the players are very upset at him, which I believe completely.
The Red Sox did get the win, though, 3-1 over the Kansas City Royals.
4 out of 5. Don't look now. They're on a run.
All they have to do is stick around here.
Don't let them win 4 out of 5. That's what they said.
Hey, you know where they are tonight, Fred?
What are they?
They played the Motor City Kitties starting tonight.
Yeah, they have not been. They lost a couple to a not great team last couple days. So we'll
Tanner
see.
Houck.
We'll see where Detroit is. Yeah, they lost to the Rangers. A couple games they lost that series against the Rangers. We'll see how they are. The Rangers not a very good team. But I mean, it's going to be electric in Detroit. May baseball in Detroit can only be described as.
Hey,
electric.
they do it right. They do the 6:40 start.
Yep.
Good for them.
Like that.
Yeah, well, they only play day games basically in April, and then they play 6:40 starts pretty much throughout the season. Yep.
Which they don't even need to. I mean, it's a longer day out there, so it's more like 5:40 here is what it's feels like daylight wise and warmth wise and everything else. But I still like it. So good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Let's take a break, and we come back. We'll have so much more to talk about. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Celtics visit the New York Knicks tonight for Game 4 of that second-round playoff series. Knicks lead 2-1. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30. You're on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Sam Hauser is questionable. The NBA's draft lottery is tonight. Utah, the Washington Wizards, and the Charlotte Hornets all have a 14% chance of landing the top selection. And the Red Sox got homers from Rafael Devers and Wilyer Abreu. They won in Kansas City 3-1. They take 2 out of 3 from the Royals. They've won 4 of 5 overall. They're in Detroit tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180. Give yourself a goal of losing 40 pounds by the 4th. It's doable, it's easy, and your summer self will thank you. Awaken180weightloss.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and one thing, if you missed it over the weekend, is Derek Carr has retired. His shoulder injury has got him retired. He's made a lot of money playing football, but now he's gone. So perhaps those Spencer Rattler rookie cards now are going to be hot commodities for the New Orleans Saints. As he... there's 3 quarterbacks in that room. I haven't heard of 2 of them, and one of them Spencer Rattler.
Derek Carr was going to make $40 million this season.
Weren't they the ones that drafted that kid Schuff, the 26-year-old out of Louisville?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just I know that when I looked quickly, I didn't look at it today. When I looked quickly at the situation, I went, "Oh, Spencer Rattler." Mm-hmm. Remember, he was supposed to be all good in college, and then he turned out not to be so great. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But there is a situation locally with a man who went ding-dong yesterday, a man by the name of Rafael Devers.
Indeed. And he did have the home run yesterday, so he is hitting after a slow start to the season, but now he's getting the job done.
He's on fire. After, I think he went hitless the first 5 games and struck out about 1 million times.
Sure.
And he's hitting over 300 cents. So
but this required a meeting where they brought in everybody. Now, why don't they do this in Boston is my question.
Oh, they had urgency. They wanted to put the fire out. You know, we can't have this PR problem. We got to put a big bucket of water on that fire. Where's the fire? Fire's in Kansas City. Well, let's get on a plane.
Right.
Let's go to where the fire is.
So, but why you knew the fire had started while you were still here?
That doesn't matter. None of that matters. The fire wasn't burning as out of control as it clearly is now. That's right.
It's always been burning since the world's been turning.
That's right.
But they didn't start the fire.
No. It's like I said, it's always been burning since the world is turning. By the way, the Karen Reed trial is up on TV. Hardy's name mentioned in text conversations.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
That was great. Congratulations.
Fred sent me a very funny text on Friday. It's like, hey, your name got mentioned like 4 or 5 hours after the fact. Like, you probably don't know, but your name got mentioned. Like, yeah, I know.
Well, then I had to tell him I was kidding. I don't think he knew I was kidding. I'm like, you probably haven't heard this, but your name got mentioned in the Karen Reed trial.
Well, and I should have known immediately you're joking because you used exclamation points.
I used like 100. I thought he would know because I used 100 exclamation points. Because even I got like texts from people like they talked about Hardy, and I was disappointed it wasn't me. And then I looked, and it was incredibly innocuous. What were they trying to prove there? That there was like an alcohol issue or something? Because the text message was, I gave you Hardy's number, and she's like, who's Hardy? And he goes, from the midday show.
No, it's the other way around.
Okay, what? Okay, go ahead.
It was Karen talking to Brian Higgins, and he said something like, oh, I really want to drink. And she said, I can give you Hardy's digits. And he said, the funniest part was, who?
Yeah.
Question mark, question mark, question mark. And she said, Hardy from 98.5 Midday Show. He's a spokesperson for Recovery Centers of America. And then Brian Higgins said, I don't have a problem.
So they're trying to establish that Brian Higgins had a drinking problem?
I don't know. So much of this in the first trial and then in this trial, like, why are they talking about this? And it was explained to me that you don't know necessarily what's going to stick sometimes, either as a prosecutor or a defender. So you want to admit a bunch of stuff into evidence, because if you don't admit it into evidence during the trial, you can't bring it up at close and you can't reference it again later. So there, depending on which way the wind is blowing throughout the course of a trial, you may want to go back and call upon something. It's like, oh, I wish we had gotten that one little thing into evidence earlier, which is why in the first trial, they had every single paramedic, first responder up there. Where did you train? Where did you do this? Blah, 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 blah. Because maybe the prosecution thought they were going to go in terms of trying to convict, like, this was done by the book and everything about this investigation and treatment was buttoned up to the fullest extent, which is why it was so tedious at the beginning of the last trial. They've gone a different way this time, but including all of those text messages, I don't know why, Fred. but I think part of it is at least we don't know why either, but there's a chance we may want to use this later.
Okay, fair enough. Because I only know of 2 things from the Karen Reed trial. I'm not sure why it's such a phenomenon. I understand that anyone dying is very bad, and you have to get to the bottom of it. So I'm not saying, the trials need to happen, but my interest in them, I don't have to become captivated by them. So I am aware now of 2 things that have happened. One, that they said she had a leaky bottom when they were texting at one point. That was during the first trial.
Yeah.
And then that they mentioned you.
Yeah. And to which my wife feigned outrage. How does she have your number? Yeah, she doesn't.
Did you go, we were sleeping together?
Yeah. Just doesn't have my number. What an odd flex.
Yeah.
But really, I think the biggest offense here is this guy claiming to not know who I am.
Well, you were on the midday show at the time.
Yeah. Charge him with lying in a text. You don't know who I am. How dare you?
But that was, if it happened now, then it would be super. I was a little upset that it said you were on the midday show too.
Okay.
That's a good point.
It's offensive then. It's offensive now. It's offensive. How dare you?
Because
who he said.
Because it said you guys were mentioned. I got a bunch of stuff that said you guys were mentioned in the Karen Reed trial, and I got all excited because I don't know anyone at all even associated with any of that. So I thought it was going to be like, hey, are you listening to how great the show is? Or like, oh, they suck. I thought it was going to be something like that. And I was going to get all excited, but it was just Hardy on the midday show.
I had several people like, and most of it, Fred, the people reaching out were like, either LOL or whoa, that's weird. But I had a few people who were really angry on my behalf. And I didn't know how to explain to him. It's like, I don't care.
You're a public figure. Who cares?
Well, not only that, but it's still got nothing to do with me.
Yes.
Just because we know people on, all facets of this case from living in that town, it's got nothing to do with us. Nothing. It's not.
Why were they mad that it was like a violation of
Why is she
privacy?
talking about you? I'm like, I don't know.
Why was she Why did she text a sentence about you long ago?
Right.
Because she did. Because she's aware of you.
Right.
I don't. What the hell are they talking about?
I don't know.
I wouldn't have brought it up if it was anything at all. Anything. It was nothing. It was just like, hey, Hardy's on the midday show, and he does the New England. And by the way, that shows the power of advertising on 98.5, the Sports Hub. In fact, if I was sales, I'd go out there and start using that. They had a text conversation about an endorsement Hardy did. So, but why are they not using that?
Exactly. That is what we should be focusing on here. See, endorsements.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I would be like, hey, look, they're even talking about our endorsements in the Karen Reed trial. And that's a conversation they never knew that was going to go public.
Damn right.
Put that in a what do you call it when you build out the thing there?
If you own a company and you're on the fence, law firm, about sponsoring the show, that's what people are talking about. Who we endorse.
Boil this last conversation down to about 60 seconds and just put it on the air.
I will tell you this, is that even in my own, before I was on the radio, there's no more effective means of getting your product across than an endorsement by a radio personality. Why, Fred? Because the people that listen every day know you. They know everything about you. And when you talk about something, Jesus, Zolak was telling me about something that Northeast Men's Health. He had a friend went in there. They did blood tests. They realized he had a medical problem, not erectile dysfunction or anything, like a real problem, like cancer or something. And they got it going.
Nice.
So he credits the endorsement in saving his life.
So you saved somebody's life.
I don't know. Well, Scott endorses that too, right? I don't know if he was saying it was my endorsement or his endorsement.
Why can't we just say that you saved somebody's life? Let's just say that.
I'll save stolen valor for Belichick. Thank you very much. All right, look.
But build that deck. Get that thing going, sales. Hey, endorsements are so effective. They're being mentioned in casual conversation as evidenced here.
Mm-hmm.
It is in the court record.
I'm not kidding. I would. If I was a sales guy, I would. While this trial's going on, I'd be like, did you see that Hardy was mentioned in the Kerry and Reed trial? They were talking about his endorsements. Like, that's the effectiveness. That's a conversation that no one knew was ever going to be seen by anyone else. And that was going on. All right, look, the Celtics played on Saturday. I don't think anything surprising happened. And now everyone feels exactly kind of the way that I thought that they would feel. And you're back to normalcy here in Boston. We'll be back in just a moment.
playoff game right here. Your home for Boston Celtics basketball. WBC-FM and HD1 Boston 98.5. The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Celtics will visit the Knicks tonight, down 2-1 in this best-of-7 second-round playoff series. Jason Tatum's team has another big game in front of them.
I say it all the time. You can't ride the emotional roller coaster of the playoffs, right? You can't get too high or too low after a win or a loss. And our core group, we've been together for a long time. We've been in so many different environments and different circumstances. So it's just about, staying together and figuring it out.
Sam Hauser and his sprained ankle have been upgraded to questionable. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Last night, Indiana took a 3-1 series lead on Cleveland with a 129-109 home win. The Cavaliers were down 41 points at the half, and they lost Donovan Mitchell to an ankle injury. He's scheduled for an MRI today, but told the Cleveland Plain Dealer he's going to play in Game 5. Oklahoma City beat Denver 92-87 to even up that best-of-7 at 2 games apiece. The NBA's draft lottery is tonight. Cooper Flagg, the would-be number 1 overall pick. Utah, the Washington Wizards, and Charlotte all have a 14% chance of landing him. And Lucas Giolito allowed 1 unearned run and 2 hits over 6 2/3 innings. He picked up his first victory since September 15th of 2023 as the Red Sox beat the Royals in Kansas City 3-1. They'll pitch Tanner Houck in Detroit tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Rodenheiser Home Services. For a limited time, Rodenheiser is offering up to $2,000 off a new AC system. And with next-day installation, flexible financing, and rebates, now's the time. Go to Rodenheiser.com for your free estimate. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
This is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown turns the corner. Finger roll is up and good. Score in the foul.
Listen to home of the Boston Celtics, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, if your alarm clock sounds like this is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
The fans kind of come to their feet, trying to help him out here. That's when he shoots the air ball.
3 of 11 in the first 2 games, and he shoots an air ball.
That's what I said.
50 to 75 nerds, Knick fans, stayed after the game and did this. And we talked about how, and especially with me, if you're a Knick fan, A, you're from New York, don't be a dork, and B, you haven't won a championship since before I was alive, and I'm 50. Just calm down. Like, why are you like this? Your attitude should be, oh no, we're up 2-0, something bad's going to happen. That's what your attitude should be. And as a New York Jet fan, that is what my attitude is. Now, if the world is about to come to an end, and because I guarantee you, if the Jets are up 14 with a minute to go in the Super Bowl, there will be a great flood. Like something will happen no one will talk about it after, because it'll be like a tsunami hit and 2,000 people died. Is that the joy I will feel will be indescribable, because I will allow myself that. But until that clock hits 0-0 in the Super Bowl, because I am, after all, a sports fan, I realize that it doesn't make a lot of sense. But as soon as that clock hits 0-0, especially now that my son's a Jets fan, the joy will be over and relief will be overwhelming. However, that feeling will not occur until it says 0-0 in the Super Bowl, and then I'll make sure there's not a flag on the play. It will take a while. Do you want to go to the Super Bowl, Fred? No. I want to be at home. I don't want to be there. I'll be with my son in a room. If he's in college, I'll fly there and get a hotel or something and sit there and watch the game. Knick fans are driving me insane. They were driving me insane, and I don't care about the Celtics at all.
Let's just visit that for a second. So you think there's a possibility the Jets are playing in the Super Bowl sometime within the next 6 years? because you envisioned a scenario where you have to fly to college where your son is attending to watch the Super Bowl.
You're right. I should check that. If I had to leave the hospice to go see my son.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
You're right. That it was a good point, and you checked me. That's right. My son's
Because I just want you to timeline that for me.
If everything
Super Bowl
goes
in the
as
next
planned,
6 years.
fingers crossed, my son will be in college following the
Well, I have
the fall of 2027.
100% faith in he'll be in college.
No,
the
that was
Jets
me
being
thinking.
in the Super Bowl.
Look, Aaron Glenn's been handling the rookie practices. Everyone's impressed. All right, look, but again, the Knicks fans, you're like from like a cool city. Like you're supposed to be these like badass, like seen it all cosmopolitan people.
You are, and you said it last week. You're acting like rubes. You're acting like it's the first time anything cool or big has happened to you, where you live in what is supposed to be the coolest, biggest city in the world.
Right, and if this is the shrine of basketball, the
Mecca,
the Mecca of, I refuse to say it, but if this is the because they had heavyweight fights 50 years ago that people cared about.
50?
Yeah,
like 80.
Like Joe Louis, Detroit's own, probably won a championship or two there. So
that's right. When was Cinderella Man? That's 90 years ago.
Yeah, easily.
Exactly.
Yes.
So look, I get it. People pay like $10,000 to get into that game. You're all idiots. You all should have been expecting what happened in Game 3 to happen. When we left here, I told you. What do I know? But and it doesn't matter. But I said this is just for Knicks fans, not Celtics fans. I think the Celtics are going to win this series. And then I said this is you all were probably thinking it. This was not a prognostication. I said this was just watch them how they win on Saturday, and then watch how this whole dialogue changes. Now all of a sudden, Karl Anthony Towns is hurt now. His left hand, I don't know what it has to do with anything, but now he's hurt. Now, oh no, this is that Celtics team. When they hit their shots, this is what happens. This is all things we discussed.
That's the thing. Nothing changed between Game 2 and Game 3.
No,
we
they
sat
made their
here
shots.
And said, we sat here and said, the Celtics are getting open shots. They're missing them. All of those open shots went in on Saturday.
So on Sunday morning, we were playing a national show, but it wasn't Kendra's show. It was a national show with some betting shenanigans, which means the people were awful on it. They probably bought the time, and they're like, "Well, not every game's going to be a blowout, and if there's another close game, I like the Knicks." Okay, that doesn't win them the series. If there's another close game and they win at some point, they still have to win. They still have to win another game. Tonight very well could be a blowout. Who's to tell you that there's going to be another close game? So if that's the thing, Nick, I'm very disappointed in the Knicks fans that they acted like that. It's like the opposite of how anyone cool that's been a fan of a team for a long time that's that bad would act. It's going to be crushing now. Crushing for you when this ends up happening. And I'm not a homer. I'm not a Celtics fan. I'm just telling you, chances are the Celtics are going to win this series. Chances are that there are going to be other games that aren't particularly close because they're so much better than you. Porzingis sucks offensively, but he's very good defensively, and you can't seem to figure that out. You need them to shoot miss open shots to win, and I don't know if that's going to happen enough for you to win 2 games. Idiots.
So the Celtics jumped out to a lead this time, and anyone watching, I'm sure once it got to 20, 22, you're like, okay, now the game starts.
Right.
Now that the Celtics have a 20-plus point lead, now what happens? Well, they were able to hold on to it this time. Jason Tatum, how?
Keep playing the right way. We understood the magnitude of this game, right? We needed this one. We just didn't like the way we felt after, last game. So just coming out here with the right mindset, just trying to put it all together.
Wow, he is footloose and fancy free.
They sound pretty nervous about everything. Sound like they're in way over their heads.
Just to see a couple of shots go in. Oh, we can do that's right.
Well,
I remember that.
Tatum needed that because he missed layups at the start of that game again,
that's
like
true.
3 of them.
Listen, Tatum's not off the hook, but in fairness to us and the people we had on, the analysis was pretty spot on. It wasn't anything Missoula, timeouts notwithstanding. It wasn't anything Missoula did. Everyone was killing like the game plan. National guys like who played basketball were killing the thing, and it was if you watch the games, they're gonna make open shots.
Yeah,
they just weren't making open shots.
The offense was working. We talked about this on Friday.
Yes.
The offense was fine, and that would be the frustrating thing for Joe Mazzulla looking at the film. What more can I do? I can't do anything else. We're holding them down defensively. We're getting open shots on the offensive end. A couple of them have to go in. Now, you're right, Hardy. Tatum missed a couple of layups early. And I'm thinking, oh, geez. I mean, 3 straight games of this. But then you see pull-up threes start to go in. You see Derek White make one. You see Drew Holiday make one. You're like, all right, I recognize this. This is more normal.
And much to Fred's chagrin, Peyton Pritchard making a ton.
That's right, my visceral hatred.
Well, you just refuse to recognize.
If you think you want him as your starting point guard, fantastic. If you think you're going to be
he was really good on
He
Saturday.
may, all kidding aside, he may wind up being that next year.
No, I know. And if you think that's your team's as good with Peyton Pritchard as your point guard, you should be put on the moon.
So we heard Tatum,
and Musk will make it happen, and that's Mars.
Very lighthearted, very loose. I don't know if this is going to be in direct opposition, but Joe Mazzulla had different thoughts.
Joe, how difficult, if at all, have the past 72 hours been in terms of just falling in that hole and then not at all?
No, not at all.
Why not, Joe?
I mean, I've said it 1,000 times. There's no one way of how it's supposed to go. I mean, people that you get caught up when your expectations aren't met, and so there's no expectations there. We're on a path of trying to go after greatness, and you don't get to dictate the test that's in front of you. All you get to dictate is how you approach it and how you respond to it. So if you plan on doing this for a long time, trust me, it'll be a lot worse than those last 72 hours, and that's the perspective you have to have. So at the end of the day, we got a test in front of us, and I got a group of guys that I wouldn't want anyone else to be able to go through that. So this is the fun part. You don't get into the journey for it to be easy. So it's been dark, but in a good way.
Yeah. Now it's time to get into the cold plunge.
I mean, you just got to tap into your darkness, and that's it. So we got to do it. That's it.
Yeah. Sit with the feeling. Don't run.
Mm-hmm.
Sit in the emotion.
Use that for fuel. Use the anger, the darkness for your fuel.
Tap into your darkness. Shuffle your coins across your fingers. Your fighting coins. Just think about it.
You sit in the emotion. Don't run from it.
Lean into the pain.
All right. So, so that we have Bill Kodge, who's his grandfather, Eddie, my good friend, revolutionized New York City and hosted Saturday Night Live.
I didn't know they were related.
Well, obviously, their last name is Koch, and also probably heir to the McDonald's fortune. So we will have him on in just a moment to talk about this Rafael Devers situation. He has some thoughts on it, and we will be there in one moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
the Sports Hub.
I know the intro to that song. All right. We are Toucher and Hardy. There is a lot of controversy about Rafael Devers, who's going ding-dong yesterday in a win for your Boston Red Sox. You know that John Henry flew in to Kansas City to sit down with Rafael Devers, who, if you don't know the controversy, he was a third baseman for his career. Then they, in the offseason, signed Bregman and asked him to move to DH. He moved to DH. And then when Casas got hurt, they asked him to move to first base, and he said, go screw. There's a lot of controversy. A lot of people think that he should have accepted that right away. Bill Koch covers the Red Sox, college hoops, and more for the Providence Journal. Bill, thank you for joining us, sir.
Morning, guys. How are you?
We are well. Thank you so much. And, okay, Bill, what's first of all, what was your read on this situation with Devers?
Well, the Red Sox obviously thought it was serious enough to have John Henry, Sam Kennedy, and Craig Breslow fly all the way out to Kansas City to address it with Rafael Devers. And, no one does drama better than the Red Sox in town. Feels like we were overdue for some sort of manufactured controversy with that team, and we only had to wait about a quarter of the season to get there.
All right. So, they go out and they sign Bregman, who plays the same position as Devers, and I'm sure that annoyed him. And then, they make him the DH. There's a little bit of drama there, but ultimately he does it. What is your feeling about the difficulty now of him moving to first base, if he agreed, the time frame, the difficulty of it? What is your read on that?
Well, first base is its own unique position, of course, but I mean, you look at someone like Devers who played on the opposite corner at third base. So he's got experience in the infield. He's played something similar. It would just be more about footwork and, cutoffs and pickoff plays and bunt coverages, whatever it may be. And he'd be able to pick up on it pretty quickly. But I think, what really stirred all this was a lack of communication between the Red Sox and Devers, and specifically Craig Breslow and Devers. That was a guy who Devers called out by name in his comments that generated so much heat. And I definitely think that there was a breakdown there. And you could say that it goes all the way back into the offseason when the Red Sox pretty much openly flirted with third baseman to replace him and ultimately signed Alex Bregman.
What do you think, taking that into account, what do you think the tenor of that conversation between John Henry and Rafael Devers was on Friday? Was it, we're telling you to go to first base, you must go to first base, or we're sorry we weren't more forthcoming with you over the winter, we understand this is a problem, we really need you to go to first?
Yeah, I don't think John Henry is going to give any sort of baseball insights to Rafi Devers. I think this was more the John Henry who gave out free headphones when things were going bad a few years ago. Thanks to Beats by Dre for those. I think he's looking to soothe hurt feelings. He's probably sitting there being a little bit of the mediator between Devers and Breslow. It doesn't feel like there's much of a relationship there. And it's interesting that, Breslow would go to Devers and potentially ask him to play first and not Alex Cora. And you wonder just, sort of up and down the chain of command, what was going on there. Obviously it was Cora who asked him to move to DH in spring training. And you get the sense that maybe Cora said to Breslow, look, he's not going to take this very well. You can go ahead and give it a try, but I'm not going to do it. I can't speak for him. And both sides have sort of hinted at, what actually happened behind the scenes without really saying it. But I definitely think that there was a breakdown in the lines of communication here, and I think that sort of created some hurt feelings.
Okay, what do you make of how Breslow handled the offseason and all of this? Bringing in Bregman, having that be the big free agent signing, and then leaving yourself vulnerable at first base. Where does this lie with Breslow? How much of that is, if this is his fault?
Well, Well, there were some sliding doors there at first and at third. We obviously heard Tristan Casas in trade rumors as well. So ultimately you look at the first base market this offseason, you had guys like Pete Alonso and Christian Walker out there. Alex Bregman's a better player than those two guys. And, the Red Sox made their team better. Alex Bregman has been their best player to this point. And that's Breslow's job, to make this team better. He brought in an all-star, essentially, a guy who's won World Series, a guy who's played deep into the postseason. The Red Sox are short on that, especially if they're going to pivot to so many young players at once. Defensively, this was never going to be a good defensive infield with Devers and Casas at the corners. He looked to upgrade the more difficult defensive position, and he did so by signing Bregman. So in that respect, on paper, Craig Breslow did his job, but it's more than building a baseball team. You have to manage relationships and egos, and I think he fell short in that way with the moves that he made, not realizing that Devers might react badly to this.
Much like happened in spring training. He didn't react well to it being asked to move to DH, but ultimately he did it. Do you think the same thing will happen here?
Well, first of all, why didn't they just move him to first in spring training and make Casas DH? If he wanted to play if Devers wanted to play in the field and you knew you were vulnerable at first, it's not like Casas is some world beater. Why don't you move, or a good first baseman, why don't you move Devers in spring training where he's got time to first base, move Casas to DH, and then figure things out?
It might be as simple as not pissing off two people, only pissing off one person.
Oh, F Casas. What do you care about Casas? And by the way, Devers might have handled it better. He might have gone, all right, I still get to play. I think DH is well, I'll ask you, Bill, for a player who's all his life is played in the field every day, what do you think is a more difficult transition, DH or more of a change in routine, DH or first base?
For me, I would want to do everything that I could to help the team. And I think that's why fans react so negatively to this, because if they got the chance to pull on a Red Sox uniform, they'd play any position, any manager, any GM asked them to. And you look at Devers and the huge extension he signed, and you think, wait a minute, if they gave me $313 million, they could put me in center field, catcher, first base, whatever it is. So our views don't necessarily align.
No, but that's
his.
not my view. My question is in spring. I think Devers has a point. My question is this: why didn't they try to put Devers at first in spring training, or at least give him reps at first base in spring training?
Yeah, I think Wallach has a good point there. Are you really going to upset two guys as opposed to one? And especially one guy who's already under team control for the next 8 or 9 years. We've heard in the offseason and last offseason, really before that, that they've had discussions with Casas about a potential contract extension similar to the one they gave Christian Campbell, where they buy out some arbitration years and keep him here long term. Casas wasn't necessarily receptive to that. They couldn't necessarily come to an agreement. And now you can't imagine any of those taking place with Casas being hurt for the second time in 2 years. So I think it was certainly a case of they wanted to keep Casas at first. They see him as a long-term guy as well. They had a lot of stock in his value despite the trade talks. Once they decided that they were going to keep him and not move on, they felt like they'd keep him at first base. And ultimately it's a great second guess, because you would have handled the situation a lot better if Devers had just started off at first and Casas had been your DH.
I understand what Devers is saying throughout this too. I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm more on the side of, I think you play and you do whatever you can to get out there. But where his argument really falls apart, I think, is when he keeps complaining about having to, switch positions once already to DH. It's not a position. Being essentially saying, you know what, we like you so much, you can do less.
Yeah.
You can just go out there and hit, and how's that? And for him to somehow use that as an argument for being toyed with or messed with, to me, Bill, that's where it falls apart for Devers.
Yeah, it seems a little thin from the outside, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about going out in the field. All you have to do is go down to the batting cage, take a few swings. when you know your turn's going to come up. Watch a little video, and you'll be ready. But players are creatures of habit. Look no further than J.D. Martinez, who is one of the more eccentric guys I've seen with respect to his preparation. But the results played themselves out in 2018 and beyond. The other thing, of course, is Devers has an ego like anybody else. And, players look at being the DH after you've been a position player as a demotion in some way. And I'm sure other players look and say, all you have to do is hit. You don't need to come out in the field. You're only half a player. Something of that sort. And it might be good-natured. It might be teasing, but, within there is some truth. And I definitely think that Devers knew something along those lines was coming from the clubhouse and was a little bit resistant to it as well.
Let's circle back to it now. Do you think Rafael Devers ultimately will wind up at first base in the near future?
Yeah, I think if you present it to him correctly, you give him time to get there mentally in his mind. If you guys have kids, you make it feel like it's their decision or that it's the best thing for them, and you let them arrive at the conclusion on their own. And I think the Red Sox could have done that if they had presented the scenario a little bit better, a little bit more united front to Devers, maybe worded it in a different way. But they clearly didn't do that from the outset. They poisoned the well a little bit, and that's why we ended up here, at least for a little while.
We got a break, John. We have very big things to get to in terms of Jordan. Bill,
gotcha.
Listen, you got yourself a story. You got a little interest here in May, so this is good stuff, and you've been covering it great. Bill Koch from the Providence Journal. Read him up right now, and thank you so much for the time, sir.
Guys, thank you. Looking forward to the pageant breakdown.
Thank you. Well, there's controversy.
We've had a couple of wrenches thrown at us here. So
Right. All right. Well, first of all, let me tell you this, is that we had, if you follow our socials, we had pageant audio ready to go.
We had so much.
But this JV operation, not us, the pageant's JV operation, threw a wrench into that. We'll read it for you.
Controversy.
And explain what happened. But that's not even the good stuff. Pablo Torre, who had the thing about Jordan getting banned from the UNC football facilities, UNC, came back and made a statement about, she's around. Pablo Torres has doubled, tripled down. I believe him 1,000%, and not just because it fits my humor. I believe him 1,000%. So we have a lot of stuff involving Jordan, and who's everywhere. And by the way, Bill Belichick's going to be interviewed by Michael Strahan Friday morning on Good Morning America.
That's right.
What's going on?
Can we carry that live?
Yeah,
I kind of want to. I'm only half joking. I think
we
can
carry it live if it lines up.
If it lines up right, I don't know their show when it actually.
Well, all
airs.
I know is it's going to be hard hitting.
Yes.
Yeah. And but wouldn't it be funny if Jordan was there? That would be so funny.
I don't think there's any doubt she's going to be there.
No, there is doubt.
No, there's a lot of doubt.
You think that she won't? They won't let her in the studio?
No. He obviously knows Strahan, and Strahan's going to kiss his ass, and it's all going to be like
they've switched up the PR team on the book tour.
That's right.
Oh, they have.
Yes,
I didn't know that. So Jordan is no longer on the PR team of the book tour.
There is someone else handling those duties.
Oh, well, I'm sure they'll interrupt a bunch of interviews. All right. Well, look, we have a lot to get to. It's going to be a lot of fun, and certainly I'll enjoy it. So here are the headlines.
strong and get back to your sport faster. Call 1-800.
Sparkle on, show this world where you belong. All it takes is a little faith, believe it. Get your
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy.
listen to your heart.
And Jordan Hudson participated in the Miss Maine USA pageant this weekend. And you would think that the Miss Maine pageant, even though we knew she would not win because that could not happen, they could not allow that to happen. But she would definitely make the finals. You can't have her win because A, the woman who won is 1,000 times better looking than her, and B, it would be embarrassing for Maine. But you would figure Miss Maine is not a big state. You would figure that Miss Maine would be thrilled with all this publicity. After all, you have Bill Belichick sitting next to Jordan Hudson's father, who's younger than me, and they're getting.
I couldn't believe how young that dude looked.
He's younger than all of us.
Seriously.
And I'm the youngest one in the room, and he's younger than all of us.
What's it like?
Good-looking fella.
God, I feel bad for that guy.
Look, in terms of him, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I know. If you bitch and moan, you lose your daughter. I get that. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying he's got to be pissed just sitting there next to a 73-year-old man that's dating his 24-year-old daughter.
Oh.
Exactly.
But it is funny that
doesn't it?
That Belichick is just yeah, dude. This is hey, let's sit down. I'm 30 years older than you.
Oh, Jesus.
And you're dating my daughter that I had at an appropriate age, but it's not like he had her when she was 16. He was 16.
Well, maybe they were just able to forget about all that and enjoy the beautiful weekend at the Holiday Inn by the Bay.
I saw that. It's a real big operation when it's at a Holiday Inn. The same place that they have the Kmart, the Kmart regional Kmart regional Maine meetings where all the managers of Kmart come together from the various outlets. When it's right next to the quinceañera. It's a real situation there at the Holiday Inn. What a lavish, luxurious affair. Well, look.
Any place where you have to make your own waffle the next morning.
Well, there was a continental breakfast that everyone could enjoy. Seriously, that was part of that's why they had it at 1 o'clock, so everyone could get the breakfast in. So, look, we bought the Miss Maine. I owe someone $30. We bought the Miss Maine contest, and we taped the Miss Maine contest. And
Yes.
Nick got all this audio from it, and he was so excited.
What do you mean you bought a DVD after it aired on a major network?
$30 to get Miss Maine. Now, I would imagine that they made well short of $10,000 in this people that bought that.
The only way to watch it was to go to pageantslive.tv or pageants.tv. This was not aired on any traditional television cable network or anything. No, you had to purchase.
Well, it was at the Holiday Inn. It was there's protections that are made at the Holiday Inn ballroom. It was in ballroom 3 of the Holiday Inn, meeting room 3.
It was not in
the founder's room.
Not in founder's room. It was not
It was the same place where Beasley's HR meetings were held.
Not an inexpensive purchase just to watch this one pageant for Miss Maine. But
They had to clear out the people that were in the sexual harassment seminar out of there because There's a Portland financial company that had their yearly meeting
I
there.
guarantee there was a youth hockey tournament staying in the same hotel.
Well, I mean, they had to be like, wa-di-da-di-da. So anyway, Nick puts up on the socials that we're going to have audio of the Miss Maine contest. But Hardy, controversy ensues after this.
Yes, actually late last night, 11:38 p.m. After Nicholas had not only purchased and watched and gone through and painstakingly edited and pulled clips from 11:38 p.m. Hello, this is from ClementeOrganization.com. It has come to our attention that your outlet has published media containing screen grabs from Pageants Live, which is also stated via Nick Gemelli's X account. This is a direct violation of our/their terms and conditions, which are explicitly agreed to upon subscription. The unauthorized use, reproduction, or distribution of Pageants Live content is strictly prohibited. As such, we are demanding the immediate removal of all published content that includes or relies on materials obtained from Pageants Live. Also, any media, audio, or imaginary taken and recorded, typo, from Pageants Live and used on air is another violation of the terms and conditions. Failure to comply will be considered a continued breach of our terms and result in further action. Please see our terms and conditions here. If you have questions or require clarification, you're welcome to reach out. Otherwise, we expect prompt resolution.
Well, okay, so that is for every broadcast that's on television. They have that disclaimer. And we never get cease and desist from anyone.
No, you're
about
not.
Any of it.
You're not supposed to watch a game and comment on it while it's happening or anything else, and we do it all the time.
Yeah, constantly. So what this means is, surprisingly, folks, it was not a good production. The reason I would assume that they don't want it played is that it was terrible. And from what I'm told, we had very funny audio from it that was just in how, I mean, it didn't do the Holiday Inn that it was held in justice. I mean, there is a panache. I mean, the Celtics just played in the Mecca of basketball, and the Holiday Inn Portland is the Mecca of pageantry. There's no question about it. But suffice it to say, it's not a very good operation. But we can play things off of YouTube, and this was up on YouTube. I will give you what happens before it. It says, Jordan. Come on. Did they call her Jordan or Jordan?
Jordan. Yes.
All right.
All right.
Well, I like Jordan, and that's what they say.
I'm sticking with Jordan.
Jordan, come on down. Right over here. There you go. How you doing? And she goes, I'm feeling an immense amount of pride right now. I'm hoping that anyone who's watching this finds, well, it would be us. We were the ones who were watching it. Mm-hmm. That and the people that had gathered at the Holiday Inn. Anyone who's watching this finds the strength. Excuse me, kids, quiet down in the indoor pool. Stop splashing. We're having a pageant in here. Anybody who's watching this, or anyone who is
ice machine.
Or anyone who's contemplating the mistakes they've made in their lives because they're staying here on business.
Beep, beep, beep. Sorry, the loading docks are right on the other side of the stage. Excuse me. Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, we're good. Continue.
And by the way, you can redeem your points for the vending machines. Anyone who finds the strength to push through whatever it is they're going through and embodies that hate never wins, thank you. I mean, so listen, Jordan has really been going through it. She is, of course, a minority and everything else. And then the guy says, would you, if you could relive one moment in your life, what would it be and why?
Yes.
All right, so here we go. This is Jordan from YouTube, not violating any cease and desist orders. This is on YouTube, therefore it was pulled from YouTube. We won't use the audio we pulled from the pageant. You win pageant this time. Next year, we're going to dot our I's and cross our T's when everyone's interested in it. And this is Jordan answering it.
I think about this really often because there's a mass exodus of fishermen that's occurring in the rural areas of Maine, and
That's the harpsichord convention going on. in
Yeah.
the
Okay.
next room.
So again, the question is, if you could relive one moment in your life, what would it be and why? And she said, I would go back to the days.
I go back to a plane and meet a richer, older guy.
I'd go back and meet J. Howard Marshall before Anna Nicole Smith sunk her claws into him.
Yeah, I'd find a guy that was way closer to dying.
Okay, so relive one moment in your life. What would it be and why? I would go back to the days, this is the part before the audio, Fred, where I was on my family's fishing boat in Hancock, Maine, and I think about this really often.
Okay, so she thinks about this all the time. She was on their fishing boat in Hancock, Maine, and she would stare and look at all the old fishermen and wonder, why am I feeling this way about them? I'm so turned on. I wonder how far their scrotums sink past their knees.
I think about this really often because there's a mass exodus of fishermen that's occurring in the rural areas of Maine, and I don't want to see more fishermen displaced. As your next Miss Maine USA, I would make it a point to go into the communities, to go to the legislature, to go into the government and advocate for these people so that they don't have to think about these memories as a past moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. I mean, it's about time Miss Maine solved the fishing problems in Maine. Because when you have that title, you are given access. I mean, who can recall? I mean, do you recall when they were going to defund PBS during the 60s? It was Miss Maine who sat in front of them next to Fred Rogers and made the compelling point. In fact, the Armed Services Committee just very recently had a very, very heated debate with Miss Kansas about the use of certain drones. I like, as Miss Maine, I'm going to go fix the whole fishing industry. I'm going to get in there and really get it going. As with the power of Miss Maine, I will use this to my advantage, and I will sit there and twist the arm. I'll make more fish. Let's just put it that way. I don't turn water into wine, because I've been told Miss Maine can do that as well. What I'll do first is make a lot of fish, and then I'll go out and make them real hungry, and then they'll all get in the boat. I like that. You know what you're going to do as Miss Maine? Sit there and be anonymous. You're more famous for ruining the life of Bill Belichick. But your father and him sat together, but what's the father going to do? There's nothing he can do about it. To cut to the chase, Jordan was she didn't look happy about it, but she did not win Miss Maine. She came in third place. And the woman that won Miss Maine, let's be honest, is beautiful and deserved every minute of it. If you're going by looks, I mean, this is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed beauty. I mean, she's quite a bit more attractive than Jordan Hudson. And that's not being mean to Jordan. I mean, this is Miss Maine. I mean, Miss Maine was incredibly beautiful. And there was another woman. There were a few women in that pageant that were absolutely stunning. And then there was Jordan. But there was some people that were absolutely stunning. But Jordan did not win, unfortunately. So good luck to the Maine fishing industry. But Jordan, whoever wins it, you can only hope adopts some of her policies as
was
they go out
listening during the interview
and
portion.
change the Maine. Who is the name of Miss Maine? Who knows? But she was a hot blonde, and there she goes about her business. So listen, you win this round, Miss Maine. We could not play your audio. We will bow to your cease and desist because obviously you want as few people covering your pageant as possible because you know that if they do cover it, it will be to mock it because it was such a terrible affair that you couldn't even get into a real place. You had to have it at a stupid Holiday Inn. So congratulations to you.
Well, maybe next year we just need to get credentialed for it and cover it in person.
Well, listen, good luck. You're going to have to get behind a lot of very big publications and fashion firms. There's a lot of it was the Met Gala of Holiday Inns. As far as Holiday Inns go, it was the Met Gala. There was, you know how Andre 3000 wore a piano on his back at the Met Gala? Yeah, there were some guys moving a table at that holiday.
Out of the way, the folding table.
Yeah, they clean up. They had to put down some folding chairs in the office. All right, look. We got very excited last Friday because there was breaking news that Bill Belichick was not allowed, that Jordan Hudson, the University of North Carolina, made it so she could not be on football facilities during football stuff. The universities came out and they made a statement that wasn't true. Pablo Torres, the guy that made the initial statement that he was banned, he's got a lot more to say. And we will play that for you coming right up.
More Toucher and Hardy.
for sports.
Holiday 3. Good night. Jalen forces it up over Somebody tied it.
WBZFM and HD Boston. 95, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Celtics and New York Knicks will play Game 4 of their second-round playoff series tonight at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks lead the best of 7, 2-1 after a Celtic blowout win on Saturday. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. After the two worst shooting games of the season in the first two games of this series, Joe Mazzulla's team was 20 of 40 from 3 in Game 3.
Yeah, we just have to continue to make those right reads, value the basketball. Didn't have 11 live ball turnovers. That helps a lot when you keep it in between the lines. And we did a good job of our spacing, making the right read.
Sam Hauser is listed as questionable tonight with a sprained ankle. Last night, Indiana took a 3-1 series lead on Cleveland with a 129-109 home win. The Cavaliers were down 41 points at the half and then lost Donovan Mitchell at the break to an ankle injury. He's scheduled for an MRI today, but told the media afterwards he's going to play in Game 5. Oklahoma City beat Denver 92-87. That best of 7 even at 2 games apiece. The NBA's draft lottery is tonight. Utah, the Washington Wizards, and the Charlotte Hornets all have a 14% chance of landing the top pick. Red Sox won in Kansas City 3-1. They take 2 of 3 from the Royals. They visit Detroit tonight. And the NFL has announced within the last hour that Super Bowl champion Philadelphia will open up the 2025 regular season with a home game against Dallas. It'll be Thursday night, September 4th. The full schedule will be announced on Wednesday evening. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180. Give yourself a goal of losing 40 pounds by the 4th. It's doable, it's easy, and your summer self will thank you. Awaken180weightloss.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today.
Is elongating.
Weekday morning.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on there. Quickly, Teddy, go ahead.
Hey, guys, I'm just calling in. I mean, what are the Cavs doing last night?
They lost. And you swore. They lost. All right, so here's the deal. Back to what's important. Is that you'll recall with Greg Glee, we had the caller, because we had to dump him, wanted to know what the Cavs did, and they lost. Now back to business. We made the announcement that Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend, who he met when she was 19 or 20, Bill 73, she has a now $8 million real estate portfolio in Dorchester, and she has been in Super Bowl commercials, but we'll get to that. It came out that he said that he had people high-ranking at North Carolina that said she had been banned from football facilities. Now, the University of North Carolina came out later that day and said, well, Jordan Hudson is not an employee of the University of Carolina Carolina Athletics. She's welcome to the Carolina football facilities. Jordan will continue to manage all activities related to Coach Belichick's personal brand outside his responsibilities for Carolina football and the university. And I'm sure that they wrote that. And now Pablo Torre, who had broken that news, comes back and said that same day, the University of North Carolina can choose to describe or change its position on Jordan Hudson's involvement however it wishes following the publication of our episode. We requested comment and filed dozens of FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, because they're a government entity, UNC, requests that were not satisfied, and we stand by the specific reporting in our episode, which came from the highest levels of the football program. Well, there's much, much, much more. Pablo Torre is obvious. He's a reporter. He's a real journalist. He's not just sitting here spewing stuff. He's talked to people. He was the one who first came out with Jordan Hudson was working as Bill's right-hand man. He was the first one who said that. So he's talking to a lot of people involved. And here is what he had to say about Jordan. Remember, she was in that Super Bowl Dunkin' Donuts commercial along with Ben Affleck Ben Affleck and the guy from Succession that's from around here.
Mm-hmm.
Stars. And then there was one of the stars' girlfriends. Ben Affleck's girlfriend was not in there. The guy from Succession's girlfriend, from what I could see, was not in there. But Jordan Hudson was in there, and they even put Jordan on. And she was not embarrassed at all. She wanted to be included. She thought that it was cool rather than a complete try-hard move. But here is what Pablo Torre had to say about how that happened.
As of the summer of 2024, Jordan Hudson was not in charge of everything. But there was one famous story that was witnessed by, I am told, dozens of people, including freelance contractors who were hired to work on the set for a 7-figure scripted commercial. What I am told by multiple people among the dozens who witnessed the shooting of this is that what happened that day on set was, quote, highly unusual. Jordan Hudson, who was at the time like a person they kind of heard about, but again, this is last summer.
Yeah.
Not quite the entity that we know now, nothing close, had arrived on set and started immediately pitching herself for a role that had not been discussed in this scripted 7-figure commercial shoot. That would also serve as, quote, the hard launch of their relationship. As of the summer of 2024, and she told everybody to hold on, actually, as this idea developed in her head, because what she did was she left set, came back sometime later, and she was wearing a yellow polka dot bikini.
Shut up.
And a sun hat.
So she wanted Bill, who doesn't like his private life and doesn't care what anyone thinks, has a statement, by the way, anytime anything happens. He's got a statement raring to go. That wanted to be the hard launch of their relationship. Bill Belichick, the quote-unquote greatest football coach of all time, he decided that the Dunkin' Donut commercial that runs during the Super Bowl, again, you know how much commercials cost to shoot? Now, not much. My friend who's been in advertising, he's 50 years old. The most expensive advertising set he ever was on was the first one because now everything's shot digitally. Like they're shot way easier. This is a 7-figure commercial for Dunkin'.
Point of clarification, Fred. This is actually not the Dunkin' commercial. This predates that. This is for some sports betting app.
Okay, so
Bill
whatever.
was part of.
I apologize. That's
okay.
This is a 7-figure commercial for a sports betting app. I apologize.
Yeah. And the finished commercial, not great. It's guys calling Bill for his advice on who to play.
I remember those.
Yeah.
All right, so I apologize, but this is a big-time commercial show. She shows up in a bikini and a sun hat.
Yes.
Even, I would imagine, skimpier than what she wore in Miss Maine, for which she did not win. She came in third. All right, here we go. But the girl that won was really hot. I have to give that to him. But we're not allowed to play the audio because they said a cease and desist. I have a feeling they knew we might make fun of it. All right, here we go.
And she was wearing a yellow polka dot bikini.
Shut up.
And a sun hat.
She would just be by the pool with him. That was the idea.
So she shows up. She's wearing a bikini. She's walking around. Bill Belichick, if you're wondering, betrays no emotional change as this is happening.
Sure.
And everybody around is like, again, this is like, as she called him on set multiple times, this is a star. She kept on calling him a star.
That's why you're allowed to be here. We're even pretending to listen to you because of the star, how much he's a star in our eyes.
So that part, right? The how do they manage this? Because she's insisting the hard launch be good for the commercial. And Belichick was going along with it. He's like, of course, this seems totally normal, like a thing you would do.
Also, nothing speaks to romance more than wanting to know when the hard launch of your relationship is going to take place.
Yeah, no one's taking advantage of you or the situation or trying to gain their own popularity and their own brand like a hard launch during a commercial that you're shooting.
I know when I started dating my now wife, I was all consumed with when we were going to hard launch the announcement of our relationship.
Well, I remember when I was getting my last colonoscopy, the doctor was like, you'd have to excuse me, but I'm dating a girl and our hard launch is today, so she's going to be in the room while I put the tube in you. It's the hard launch of our relationship.
You understand.
Yeah. I just happened to be coming home when the garbage men were picking up my trash the other day, and there was a guy who came off the truck, and he said, excuse me, I have an assistant today picking up our trash. It's my new girlfriend. It's our hard launch today. We have a hard launch. Because Bill Belichick, I mean, this is like part of, when you're in Hollywood and you're a famous actor, you want this kind of attention when you start dating an actress. I mean, this could be good for both your careers. Oh, that's right. He's just an old man football coach. And she's not anything. She's not even Miss Maine, to be honest with you, let alone Miss USA.
Second runner-up.
Second runner-up is third place.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we go. Now Pablo Torre is talking about this is why they could not do what?
Yes, this is in reference to when Jordan on the CBS Morning Show shut down any conversation about their relationship. There is a theory as to why, and Pablo gets into that in this clip from his podcast.
Okay, the disastrous CBS This Morning interview that begat all this controversy as Bill Belichick met a woman obsessed with the human mind and philosophy on a flight. She had a philosophy textbook. She was well-versed in philosophy, and right then and there, they knew they loved each other, but it could not be discussed on CBS Morning News. It was reserved only for the social media of Jordan Hudson. Here we go.
As of the summer of 2024, Jordan Hudson was not in charge of everything. But there was one famous story that was witnessed by, I am told, dozens of people, including freelance contractors who were hired to work on the set for a 7-figure scripted commercial.
This is the same audio as the last time.
Yeah.
Is it the same length?
Same audio, though.
No.
That's odd.
So I need that audio.
Yeah.
Like now. All right?
Yeah, sure. Hold on for a second.
You know, last summer when Bill was shooting this commercial, Fred, his career was in the ultimate state of flux, right? So he's out there maybe thinking at this point he is going to be some type of personality, right?
Right.
Well, he's maybe going to be on a desk somewhere for the NFL. Maybe I'm just going to be a professional brand ambassador like Rob Gronkowski has become. You know, he's probably got all these thoughts swirling around his head. What am I going to do for a living? Then you have Jordan standing by, who is not necessarily consumed with her boyfriend's career, but the hard launch of their relationship. Yeah. And intervening in a commercial shoot to get that point across.
Right. So
how he's still with her is absolutely mind-boggling.
Well, yeah, none of this was a red flag that maybe she doesn't really like me. Maybe
or is concerned about my welfare and well-being and my career.
No, exactly. Like maybe this at some point would occur to you, which I knew right away. I sniffed it out right when he was participating in these ridiculous Instagram photos.
Yeah.
Is that maybe, just maybe, she hooked herself a rich, famous guy, and that she was going to use you to build her own brand. Again, I'm no Bill Belichick. I am small potatoes, but I've been out of town with an influencer, and they were taking where we were at. Part of the deal was that they videoed themselves doing crap. And at no point, none, did said influencer go, "Hey, Fred, go get in this. Like, get in this. You're on the radio. Get in this." And that's a small-scale operation.
Yeah.
Let alone a 7-figure commercial. I mean, at what point do you go, I'm giving this broad millions of bucks, and she's poking her head into everything and making everything worse. Like, and Bill seemed like that not concerned by it. Is he been hit in the head with something? Was he walking around New York and like a window air conditioner fell on his head? What is he just brain dead walking around? Oh,
he's crossed
sitting
over.
with her dad who's younger than me at the pageant like an idiot.
Crossed over that imaginary line earlier than most.
All right, so here we go. This again is why perhaps she interrupted the how they met part of that interview on the Sunday morning CBS show.
Why is she so protective of this question? There is, I think, in our reporting, as Katie deduced, the whole, let's not draw attention to the fact that I was 19. He was almost 69.
Legal though it may be.
Hell yeah. 19 and 69. That's actually a Kiss B-side. I was 69. She was 19. Then we 69. It was sort of keen. Yes, he met her when she was. He met her when she was 19. She was wildly attracted to him.
Why is she so protective of this question? There is, I think, in our reporting, as Katie deduced, the whole, let's not draw attention to the fact that I was 19. He was almost 69.
Legal though it may be.
Legal though it may be. But there's another theory, according to people who have dealt with her directly on matters of business, which is that she seems to be of a belief as she carves up Bill Belichick's brand. And by the way, she is the person who inspired in a real way the book that is at the heart of that CBS non-promo. As an idea mill, as she's credited in the acknowledgments, she does come up with ideas like that book. But what the source has deduced.
Hey, do stuff that makes more money for me to take.
You know what? Never before has a wildly successful person in business or sports, after their career has seemingly ended, written a book about their experience having that wild success.
Yeah.
So I will give Jordan credit for giving Bill the idea to write a book about winning all those Super Bowls.
Do it now. I don't have time. But yeah, you could die before it comes out, and then I won't get that money.
So yeah,
and then you'll get a press tour, which I can butt my nose into.
Let's give her credit for giving Bill the idea to write a book, because no one's done that.
Well, she's his creative muse. It says so in the acknowledgments. Go do more stuff that makes money so I can go buy more things. Like the property I own in Dorchester.
Who's ever written a book after they've had success?
About winning, too.
You're right.
If only John Wooden thought of it.
Is that she may be saving exclusively any and all talk about their origin story, their relationship, for a potential reality show.
No.
Please have a reality show.
Gosh.
Please, oh God above, please. And what a PR person, what could go wrong? And this won't cost Bill his job at all. If they have a reality show about their relationship, guess what UNC's doing? It's not debatable. As big a coach as Bill Belichick is, that's a huge university. That's a good university with an assload of alumni.
This isn't Sacramento State. This is.
That reality show's up. Bill's never coaching another football game ever. Not in high school.
For a potential reality show.
No.
Oh, no.
So you're saying that she's protecting that information because it's in fact embargoed?
She is somebody who believes that an exclusive means exclusive. Like, you can't talk about this anywhere else. This story is for a future theoretical project. That is the theory from people who have had to deal with her.
Well, she has a lot of ideas to exploit the relationship. She's a real idea person. The first idea is can completely ruin his brand, which she successfully has done. The second idea is you write a book. The third idea is, hey, let's make me more famous. But I'm going to do it in the worst way possible and completely ruin both of our lives. All right, so Pablo Torre, it was on Dan Patrick.
Yeah, John, you found this audio, right?
Yes, Pablo Torre was on Dan Patrick, and of course the discussion centered around his reporting and whether or not he's willing to double and triple down. Not only did he double and triple down, listen to the end of this.
Should we wait? You want to do it?
No, I want to do it now while we're rolling.
Listen to the last 10 or 15 seconds.
If we have to, we can break after if this needs to be discussed further.
In the final 30 seconds, what do you think is next in this story?
I think you're going to see people push back on the reporting out of North Carolina that I've said, which is that there was a power struggle in which the adults had to intervene. I think there will be disagreement about that. And I think that what is happening to my phone will continue to happen, which is that it will continue to melt. I signed up for this. I get it. Aggregation interviews like this are all great. I hope people listen to the episode. But I can tell you that everybody who's dealt with Jordan Hudson, and one person said, quote, she is the worst person I've ever dealt with on earth, and I have dealt with actual sociopaths. I'm not saying that is everybody. I'm just saying this story, Dan, is extreme, and there's a lot, including injectable erectile dysfunction drugs, as just a brief tease for what else we had to find out.
Guys, can you give me a little credit? Can you give me a little credit? How many times have I referenced that when they break up, she's going to talk about that needle? That needle's going to come up. Hachi machi. I saw this a year ago. Oh, boy, you stupid idiot. You moron. What? You are such a moron, and now there's no getting out of it. Because even now he knows. There's no way he doesn't know. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
What have
because
I done?
It's one thing, like, behind the scenes to have someone being annoying and, like, getting in your business and giving them money. Now, like, everyone around you's talking about it, and she's actively ruining your life. Your life. Your life is being ruined. Reportedly, your family's pissed off, which I believe. The university's pissed off, which you know they are. And now you're a joke and a laughingstock. It's not just us that's talking about this. It's everywhere. Google Jordan Hudson and see how many stories in the last 48 hours have been written about various things about them. And Pablo Torre, that lucky son of a bitch, is just sitting there getting all the info. He's a hero.
Mm-hmm.
He's the Woodward or Bernstein of brain-dead old coaches.
When UNC pushed back on this Friday after we had gotten off the air, I'm like, oh, that sucks. And then I read the statement, much like Pablo Torre references here. It's filled with ambiguity and doesn't necessarily say the opposite of what he said. What it says is that she's welcome here. Well, Fred, let me ask you, are you allowed to go to Gillette Stadium? Are you banned from Gillette Stadium?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Can you go to practice?
No.
Oh, can you be around the football team and poke your head in on interviews and meetings and stuff like that?
I cannot.
You're welcome at the facility, though.
Absolutely. That's the way I read it, too.
That's...
And it said clearly that she wasn't an employee. It said clearly that she wasn't an employee of the university.
They did make it a point to say that for
And maybe
sure.
that means the Freedom of Information Act doesn't apply to, like, her stuff. I don't know what they're trying to pull there, but
yeah.
let's hear the end of this.
I'm not saying that is everybody. I'm just saying this story, Dan, is extreme, and there's a lot, including injectable erectile dysfunction drugs, as just a brief tease for what else
NortheastMen'sHealth.com.
we had to find out.
Nice tease there. Great to talk to you. Thank you, Pablo.
As I always dreamed, Dan. As I
Yes,
always dreamed.
Of course.
Yeah. When they break up, if he can get out of this, I mean,
doesn't matter now.
Their sex, the talk of them having sex is going to be just fantastic. And if you're using injectable erectile dysfunction drugs, there's nothing wrong with them. And apparently they work fantastic. And if you can have sex, but I mean, that's what happens when you're 73 and you're dating a 19-year-old, or a 20-year-old. You're going to have to perform sexually, and that's not always easy at 73. So there are ways to do it, and one of them is injectable. They use them in the porn industry, too. I learned a lot of this during my endorsements talk. But, yes, they have these things, and hearing her sit down with whoever, Oprah, I don't care who, Gayle King, whoever she sits down with, and describes Bill the first time he took his clothes off in front of her, and so I gotta go through my bag here and get my needle. All right, Jordan, we got an hour. Start your Navy watch. You know why there was a hole in that Navy sweatshirt? Well, he fell into all the syringes. He had a big pile of syringes.
Not bad.
He toppled into it. It also turns you into the Hulk. Everything gets thicker.
Use the diving bezel. That way we know how many minutes we have left.
Yeah, all right, you got an hour.
Hold on. I'll get the needle. You pull off my compression socks. They're above the calf.
All right, this girdle's keeping me alive, so we're going to keep that on. All right, very good. Well, listen, there's something new every day. And why wouldn't there be? He's got himself a real problem on his hands, a real black widow. He's got a real problem on his hands, and there's no getting out of it. And it's fantastic, and it's never going to stop, and it's going to go on forever. And every day I'm going to talk about it for the rest of my life.
Follow him, not only for the rest of his life, but after he passes on.
It's every conversation. Oh, no, his legacy is completely ruined. It's completely ruined. It's completely ruined. It's ruined. It's all of this is going to be all anyone talks about. I mean, there'll be NFL film stuff.
Sure.
And
But this is top of mind forever.
Yep. It's over.
It's the first thing people will think about from now on.
It's the flight of Icarus, my friend. involving injectable erectile drugs. All right, listen, we'll be back in just a moment.
If Icarus needed a syringe.
You're listening
Icarus
to
needed a
Toucher and
needle to
Hardy
fly.
on the Sports Hub.
I'm Bill Patchane from the American Parkinson's Disease Association.
she goes, I was thinking about you. And I said, oh, yeah? And she goes, yeah, I looked up old man porn. That was what she had done when she was thinking about me.
Yeah.
She looked up old man porn, which I oddly took as a compliment. You know? That's what I oddly took it as a compliment. All right. Well, look. You saw what happened to Cleveland last night, and what do you think the chances are this happens to the Celtics?
Won't happen to the Celtics. They may lose, but it won't be a blowout. They won't get run over like that. Well, what happened to Cleveland last night?
Yeah.
They go back to what we were talking about in the first hour. Celtics have been through this before. They had to lose to win. This is Cleveland's first time being here. Cleveland was fully healthy last night. They had everyone available. They didn't have everyone available at the end, but they had everyone available at the beginning of the game, and they got their asses kicked. So that shouldn't happen to a team that has designs on winning a championship. You're down 2-1. You're in the other team's building. You pretty much need to win, and you got not just lose, you got embarrassed. And then you have the Donovan Mitchell thing. Donovan Mitchell tweaked his ankle or his calf or whatever it was, didn't play in the second half.
He has a calf injury, and I have a feeling they kept him out of the second half because it was a foregone conclusion, and they just want him to get rest up. I'm a little surprised they played Garland as much as they did because he's obviously hurt.
He's got the toe injury.
They're saying it's a broken toe.
Yeah, but ultimately the Celtics, for lack of a better phrase, know what the hell they're doing. And you know what? Maybe the shots don't go down tonight. Maybe the Knicks manage to win, but you can bet that the Celtics will show up. So I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win the series. But in answer to your question, they're not. They will look a lot better than Cleveland did.
And it gets back to those Knicks fans in the media that got way over their skis, and I lost a lot of respect for the New York sports fans, who I've always looked upon as being kind of sophisticated, outside of Yankee fans, because they just win everything, and that's got to be kind of boring. But like Met fans have a certain fatalism, certainly Jets fans, a well-deserved fatalism, Rangers fans, fatalism, all these things. But with the Knicks, for some reason, despite all the history and everything that was going on, these dumb Knicks fans got so ahead of themselves, paying $10,000 to get into that game. By the way, I was listening to that the very beginning post game with Grandy, during the radio broadcast, and he again goes, everyone this week is going to be talking about da 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 da. Like why is everything what he thinks sports radio is talking about, and why? Like he's this voice of incredible intelligence and reason, and he's arguing, foreshadowing arguments and arguing against them. It's completely unnecessary. He's good at play-by-play.
Thank you.
I don't understand why there is this constant need to pump himself up to the audience about now this week people, and the next 2 days people are going to be talking about. It's like, Jesus, Grandy, enough.
I love you.
Like, I get it. You watch every game. Like, you talk to the coach. I get it. You're involved. I understand. Let everyone else do their job. Just sit there. You call a good game. You do a good job. I don't understand why he has to have these invisible arguments like he's on the right side of history.
Look around and find out.
It's a real problem. It's a real problem. He should cut that out, because I was starting to like him on the air, and then he does something like that, and it makes me not like him anymore.
That guy in the morning show.
Yeah.
That guy in the morning show. Learn my name. It's rude. I say Sean Grandy. It's rude.
I love you, and I think you know that.
All right. Well, let's not get crazy. We don't even know each other. But yeah, I was really disappointed in the Knicks fans and how much.
These are the Knicks fans that are, like you said, Fred, showing up, spending tens of thousands of dollars. They think they're going to see the essentially the dagger go in and a Game 3 win and go up 3-0 in the series and blah 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 blah. The Knicks fans that I talk to are more in line with what you say.
Well, those are good people.
And how you feel, because they have seen it. They're not lunatics. They're not out there proposing to their girlfriends like the guy we heard last week because the Knicks managed to win Game 2 in Boston.
You know what?
They're not changing their lives and their future plans based on the Knicks somehow winning this series because the people I talk to have watched them for more than a season.
If I was a Knicks fan, not only would I have not gone to Game 3, I would not have wanted to watch the game with anyone around. Because I knew if I was a Knicks fan, I knew that the Celtics were going to blow them out in that game. I knew it. And then I hear people on the national media going, well, that's a blowout and those things happen, which is true. But, I mean, another one of these games is going to be close, and I like the Knicks in a close game. Well, first of all, 2 games have to be close for the Knicks to win this series. And, sure, the Knicks could win another close game. But who's to say that the Celtics aren't going to blow them out 3 more times? What's more likely, the Knicks winning 2 more close games or the Celtics blowing them out three times? I think the Celtics blowing them out 3 times. And I knew, and it's not so much locally, as I knew, because no one seemed to lose it here, at least on the station, is that I knew that they were going to win on Saturday. I mean, I thought they were going to win on Saturday. And then I knew if they did win, now all of a sudden everything's changed. Now all of a sudden it's not such a big deal you lost the 2 at home.
You know, we were talking about the Knicks trying to act like they've been there before because they know the team loses. You know what the get-in price was for Game 3? Like about 24. Things change as you get closer to tip-off, but I checked about 24 hours before the event. Want to guess? The get-in price, worst seat upper bowl.
500?
How much?
700.
Higher.
Come on.
1,000?
Over 850 to get in, just to get in.
I wouldn't want to be within 2 miles of that place if I was a Knicks fan. I wanted that stink off me.
You guys, if anybody's a Knicks fan and you've been a Knicks fan for longer than 5 minutes, you know not to spend $850 for a second-round playoff game. Oh my God!
It's like they're cicadas. They come out of nowhere. They're so. Like the hillbilly joyful, like just like small market, like the Cub fans. Hooray!
Hey, the Cubbies.
Yeah, I mean,
go Billy, go Curse.
This is not an expansion franchise that has never reached this point in time before. Knicks have been in the playoffs quite a bit.
I mean, like those Ewing era Knicks were heartbreaking, and that's part of the reason that you should be like, this team sucks compared to that. Like those Ewing teams, really should have won something.
They should have won in the mid '90s. John Starks had a wide open 3 to beat Houston in a Game 6 in the mid '90s.
And so, that was funny. Cedric was talking about how he doesn't like. He goes, "Yeah, they're doing a lot for the Knicks alumni." And he's like, "You know what, John Starks, you should sit down. What you shouldn't be so involved in this." And then he started talking about how he was talking to Bernard King. Because Bernard King delivered in the playoffs, by the way.
Yeah, right after Max said he wouldn't score 40 on him in the playoffs, Bernard King did better than that.
Bernard King, what did he get hurt?
Bernard King, yes.
Yeah, because Bernard King was fantastic.
The story was after Bernard King left the Knicks, the Celtics wanted him, and Red Auerbach offered him $1 million, and he went down and played for the Washington Bullets for $2 million.
Bernard King was happening when I was in my hellscape summer of Kings Park, Long Island. That's when I became a Jets fan. Mm-hmm. What year did Bernard King go off? Like 82?
I think it might have been the 84 playoffs.
No. But I mean, he went off and what was his? Let me see Bernard King's rookie year, because I was like a little kid. I wasn't 9 because I was already a Jet fan for a long time when I was 9. But the Bernard King was my cousins. It was part of that hellscape that made me a Jet fan, and I know Bernard King's a Knick.
Yeah, King led the NBA in scoring 84-85.
Okay, when was his rookie year?
His rookie year was 78.
Okay, yeah. So when he early 80s, 81 probably, because my cousins were all into Bernard King, but I didn't become a Knick fan.
Yeah, the year I'm talking about is
because the NBA sucks.
Yeah,
but I was, but that's when I became a Jet fan. Ugh. Every time I hear Bernard King, I go, why was I made to go to Kings Park, Long Island, and just sit there with a TV with no cable, and just sit there, sit on the ground. I used to throw a ball. They had this old concrete thing that was like a quote unquote barbecue, and it had a wooden hole in it, or not a wooden. It just had a hole in the concrete, and they had one tennis ball or a wiffle ball, and I would sit there and I would throw the wiffle ball into the thing, and I'd walk up and I'd get it, and then I'd throw the wiffle ball into the thing, and I'd walk up and I'd get it. That's how much I had nothing to do. That's probably why I'm such a basket case. I had too much time to think. It's like that Walden Pond, but I couldn't get out of it like he could. Thoreau could have walked right into Concord.
You didn't have your mom's house like an hour away you could go and chill out if it got too chilly in your...
An hour away?
Oh, it's a mile away, I meant to say, sorry.
Yeah, an hour away. He was a slow walker. I got to downtown Concord. I'm sticking with this. And when I saw that their house, that Concord was like settled in like 1200 BC, and that there were houses there, and that he was just down the street at some pond, and he could gone in for supplies at any time. I'm sure people. And by the way, it's not like no one went to Walden Pond but you. You're the only one that in the summer that thought of going to Walden Pond. Yeah. I find that very difficult to believe. Literally, you can fish that, right?
Yeah.
They had boats and fishing then. Like no one took a kayak but you. That book is trash. Well, the indigenous people had kayaks before we even got here. Or not kayak, canoe, I mean.
Yeah.
There were
They
no
didn't have
canoes.
REI.
No, they didn't. And they did not have injectable drugs to give yourself an erection like Pablo Torre suggests that Bill Belichick has to use.
It is.
Which is information that is fine, and I'm glad that he's having a sex life, because your sex life, if you want it, should never stop, and that's a great way to do it. I'm not kidding. But the fact that there's people around Bill that are sharing this, or around Jordan that are sharing this information, is not great. It's one thing I would imagine to use that when you're with someone like your age. It's another thing when you're with a 19-year-old.
Right.
Excuse me. I'm going to give myself an erection so we can have sex. Are you ready? Just give me about 10 minutes. Well, I'm ready. Give me 10 minutes.
I'll be right back.
Not the guy, the girl.
Yeah.
Give me 10 minutes to prepare myself. Or this isn't going to work.
I need to go take some pills myself. Libido drugs? No, just something to make it all go away. I need to go take my warm bath pills. Makes me feel like I'm just...
Do you have my senior yearbook so I can see my prom photos? I'm going to need something to get through this. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
said you wanted to hear more music in the morning.
Never had to knock, but I never had it yet.
Oh, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy.
On that movie. Oh, Tin Cup is awful. Awful. Is there a nerdier anti-hero than Tin Cup? He's supposed to be cool, yet he's the least cool human being on the planet. He's not cool at all.
What's not cool about him? They call him Tin Cup, because he was a catcher in high school. The wild, he was a catcher, and the pitcher had a wild pitch. He wore a tin cup.
Oh, I thought it was. He used to tell the pitcher to wear the lingerie of the woman he was dating.
Beaches and the greens like parking lots. Oh Lord, what am I gonna do?
Wait.
Help me keep my head down. Save me from those double bogey blues.
Who is responsible for this?
That's Peter Jacobson.
Peter Jacobson?
He is a professional golfer, but he was also a vocalist, and he recorded some songs, including that one for the movie.
much time did he have to do in douche jail for that?
Isn't Peter
This
Jacobson?
is my center field. Oof.
This clip says it's Mickey Jones.
What?
Might be a different version. I'm not familiar with the song. I just pulled the fastest clip I could find.
Oh, you're not familiar with the song? I guess you missed MTV and the radio in 1996.
Can't listen to that stuff.
Oh, I thought he did the vocals for that song. My apologies.
Yeah, the double bogey blues is that's an unfortunate thing.
Novelty blues songs. It's always a good idea.
Golf doesn't do itself a lot of favors.
I liked it so much better when I thought Peter Jacobson was singing that.
No.
I don't like the song as much now.
Sorry.
Golf is really undercuts itself at every chance.
Second only to the NHL.
Yeah, with the JV-ness of everything that they do. All right, here we go. 10 a.m. this morning, foursomes for the 14th annual Hoosier Caddy Golf Outing will go on sale at 985thesportshub.com. That's Monday, June 9th at the Brookmud Hill Country Club in Canton, home of Hardy, who was featured in the Karen Reed dress. 8 a.m. Shotgun start. Zolak and Bertrand will be broadcasting live. $900 per foursome. That includes 18 holes of golf cart, prize and post-round lunch, plus we'll have a live auction, 50-50 raffle, and more. Mingle with the Sports Hub staff, and special guest proceeds benefit the Juice Foundation, created by Jalen Brown. Thank you to Pin Golf, Yale Appliance, Northern Spy Restaurant, Alamo Draft House Theater, Woodhill Pier 4 Restaurant, Brico Restaurante, the Boston Red Sox, the New England Revolution, and Brook Meadow Country Club. It should be a fine time. Those tickets go on sale at 10 a.m. at 985thesportshub.com.
Can we lock down right now, at least your wish? I'm not saying it's going to happen this way, but I want a definitive answer from you. And don't say I don't care. You have an opinion on this, please, Fred. When do you want to race the golf cart? We're going to do it that day at the tournament. When do you want Fred v. Golf Cart 40-yard dash race to take place?
When does the race? When does this tournament start?
8, right?
It's an 8 a.m. shotgun.
So you'd have to get there a little early to race the golf cart.
If you want to do it before.
Yeah, I'll race the golf cart before. When they put the golf carts, the bags on the golf cart, we can just take the golf cart onto the first or second or whatever holes are right there. First and
18 or 1, right? 18 comes in from the right and 1 is off to the left.
I don't know how the course is laid out, but we can do that.
Probably do it down the first fairway, and that way everybody can watch as it takes place.
And I mean, we'll really. I hope they can handle all those people and they don't trample the fairway and ruin it.
Well, now, yes, now we're going to get extra people showing up, standing, there in the parking lot and on the practice green, trying to get a view of you racing the golf cart.
Because this is going to be a bit that pays off in spades. Because nothing is going to translate more than me racing the golf cart. But if I have a decision to make on it, my decision is to go before.
Because you don't want to hang it over your head all day and thinking about it while you're out there trying to play and post a number.
I think that by the end of the round, we're going to be pretty much over it, and I don't think we're going to want to go out there and tape something. I think that it's much better to do beforehand.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because some years that moves, but sometimes when you do a shotgun start with some people with multiple foursomes going off of some holes, it can take a while.
Oh yeah.
So but say it takes 5 hours to play the round. I'm not.
And then people are staggering when they're coming in, and some people just want to eat. They don't want to go back outside to watch. No, everybody will be outside. Everybody's waiting to go, and we'll.
I'll be in golf shoes, so it won't count. That will be my built-in excuse.
Well, let's head on over to the footwear store and get you some sprinters cleats.
Well, 2 years ago, I wore flip-flops expecting to change into my shoes and did not remember to bring shoes of any kind.
I remember.
So I had to buy golf shoes at the clubhouse, which
God
they
you
had.
did that.
Brook Meadow has a wonderful clubhouse. All right, look. We will be back. Chris Mannix, who covers the Celtics and basketball and the NBA, he will be joining us.
98.5, the Sports Hub app. Half Toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider.
At the end of the day, we got a test in front of us, and I got a group of guys that, I wouldn't want anyone else to be able to go through that. So this is the fun part. You don't get into the journey for it to be easy. So it's been dark, but in a good way.
Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. Chris Mannix is a senior writer for Sports Illustrated. He's very elusive. He's very hard to get our hands on. We love having Chris as a guest, but he's a hard man to track down. Hello, Chris.
What's happening, guys?
Not much. I was surprised by the confidence of Knicks fans after Game 2. It was a little annoying given the history of that team. You would think they would be a little more skeptical.
Yeah, and I do think internally the Knicks weren't celebrating anything after Game 2, largely because, internally the Knicks didn't believe they were playing some kind of great three-point defense against the Celtics. I mean, they knew that a lot of those shots that the Celtics took in the first two games of the series that missed were the same shots they took like in the season opener that buried the Knicks, by 30 points. So, there wasn't an overwhelming confidence internally within the Knicks because they knew something like Game 3 was not just possible, but likely to happen. On top of that, the Celtics offense has been a big story in this series, but the Knicks offense has been dreadful as well. I mean, they have been largely in the low 40s in shooting percentage for the entirety of this series. So, the Celtics don't have to shoot 50% from three to win some of these games. They've just got to continue to shoot a more efficient number than 25 and continue to play the same defense they've done for most of the series.
Did the Celtics make any adjustments at all from Game 2 to Game 3, or was it just the shots went in?
I didn't see too many of them. And whenever I talk to people within the team, it was kind of like, we're not going to change who we are, right? I think they said some of that publicly, and that's what they were reiterating, privately. Now, there were certainly some subtle changes and some focuses, second chance opportunities they were locked in on, just different little things, little parts of the game that they wanted to win. Finishing quarters is something that they talked a lot about, over the last, couple of days. Like, they just wanted to clean up some of the mistakes that they were making. But by and large, that's the same team that we saw for most of the season. I did think, they were a little bit more judicious with their three-point shooting. 40 attempts, a big number for most teams. For the Celtics, it's downright stingy. I thought they went to the basket a little bit more. But there was not any kind of overhaul of the offense. The shots that just missed in the first couple of games, a lot more of them went in, and the defense I thought was excellent as it's been all series.
In terms of the defense that the Knicks are playing, the shots obviously went in terms of the three-pointers with the Celtics, but they're still playing decent defense in the paint, and when the Celtics are trying to drive, we saw Jason Tatum missing layups early in the game on Saturday, and it wasn't just because he was missing them altogether. I still think they're doing a decent job when the Celtics try and get inside, and maybe if there were any adjustments made, they have to think about that. It's not like you're and the other thing, Chris, is it's not like going to the hole automatically is going to earn you a trip to the free throw line in this series either. So I wonder if that's changing the way they're approaching things as they get ready for the game tonight.
Well, I think the biggest difference in this series versus the regular season is Mitchell Robinson, right? Like he didn't play in 3 of the 4 games, I think it was, and in the regular season, and we've seen what he is as a rim protector, a pick and roll defender. I mean, he's elite, and the Celtics have tried a lot of different things. The hack-a-mitch is certainly a way to get him out of the games. We saw them doing it with him when they got 25, 29, something like that in Game 3, and they're still trying to knock him out of the game. So adjusting to him in the paint, defending off the screen and roll is different. I mean, that's kind of if you're looking for changes in what they do offensively, like when Karl Towns is in the game, and this is another subtle maybe shift in Game 3, that they really went at Karl Towns, I thought, a lot more. They recognized that he's not a good defender. And when they get him on a switch with one of their wings, they went at him. That was noticeable in Game 3. You can't do that as much with Robinson because he's a better perimeter defender and certainly he's a better, rim protector. So, figuring out kind of how to attack Robinson and how to, approach him offensively, I think that's going to be a big part of the series moving forward.
Karl Anthony Towns made a big show in Game 3 about how that left hand was bothering him, and a really big show of it. I don't know if you missed it or not.
No, yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, so after the game, the media, having seen all of that, came up to him and asked him about that left hand. Apparently, something's really wrong with him, or is he just overplaying things a little bit?
Well, you could see a mouth during the game. It's broken. That's not exactly a medical diagnosis, but it's obviously bothering him. And you could see at times when he was getting whacked on the arm, it wasn't even like he didn't need to get hit on the hand to be affected by it. He was grabbing to it when he was whacked on the forearm or the elbow, anything that was kind of sending a vibration down to that hand. I mean, it kind of is what it is for Towns. It's probably going to be a pain tolerance thing for the rest of this series. The good news for him is it is the left hand. He's a right-handed guy, and he can still be really effective offensively with just the full use of that right hand. But if I'm the Celtics, I'm paying attention to that, and I'm doing a lot of things to force him to go left. And look, let's be honest, people hate the idea of cheap shots, but if you have a chance to foul Towns and hit him on the arm area, you're probably going to take it. I saw Drew Holiday do that once in Game 3, and it looked like he was doing it, kind of with purpose when he fouled Towns around the rim. So I'd be very aggressive if I'm the Celtics and try and take advantage of that injury.
Who do you think the pressure? There's so much of saying that there was this tremendous pressure on the Celtics going into Game 3, and it didn't seem that way certainly. And all it took was one win for this whole narrative to shift. Do you think that the Knicks have a chance to kind of duplicate what they did in the first couple of games? Do you think what do you think the chances are the Knicks can be competitive as the series goes on?
I mean, I think they're still really good. I think this Game 4 is enormous for Boston. I think the pressure is still entirely on the shoulders of the Celtics. I mean, we saw Game 3 with Cleveland and Indiana. Cleveland down 2-0, backs against the wall. They have this phenomenal game. Donovan Mitchell plays brilliant. Evan Mobley, all the guys they need to step up played well. Well, none of that matters now because they got their butts kicked in Game 4. And, they came out and thought they had reestablished themselves as the top team in that series, and they got whooped, just absolutely whooped in Game 4. The Celtics need to have that same desperate mindset going into this game they had going into Game 3. I mean, I think the pressure is eventually going to shift to the Knicks. I mean, you get the series tied at 2, all of a sudden it's, all right, well, it's the same team that lost 4 straight in the regular season, the same team that, has a lot of defensive deficiencies. Oh my God, the pressure's on Tibbs. He's got to win this series to potentially keep his job. But for now, this is still every bit of pressure, I think, is entirely on Boston. They lay an egg. They're down 3-1, and that's, I don't know if it's unrecoverable, but the numbers say it's very difficult to recover from that type of hole. So I say the Celtics still have, most of the pressure.
You talked about pressure. Jason Tatum gave a very mature answer to being the man, which he is for this team. And I'm wondering, does this series, especially going up against a guy like Brunson, who is huge in the clutch, do you think this alters his status league-wide one way or another?
I think it can, not just because of who he's facing, but because of the circumstances that are in place in the series. I mean, when the Porzingis stuff started to happen, and it's one of the weirder situations that I can recall, but that took one piece of the Celtics offense kind of off the table. Jaylen Brown has been good, but we know what he's dealing with. This was one of those series that it feels like Jason Tatum has been asking for, to an opportunity to showcase that he is on the level of a Jokic or a Shea or a Giannis or, the guys that have proven that they can strap a team on their back and win a series. It didn't work out well for him in the first couple of games. He played a lot better in Game 3, but to me, the rest of the series is an opportunity for Jason Tatum to flex that he is a top 5 guy, an MVP candidate, worthy of that kind of distinction. I mean, we don't know what we're going to get for Porzingis for the rest of the series. I mean, the minutes he's played have been bad, and when he's not playing, he looks terrible sitting on the bench. Brown, still playing well, but definitely not as explosive as we've seen him in years past. Like, this is a chance for Jason Tatum to give you 30 points on an efficient number, to collect 7-8 rebounds, to hand out 6 assists, to get to the free throw line 10 times per game like he always strives for. Like, this to me is a chance for Jason Tatum to either have a coming out party that proves he's on the level of those other players, or to have the kind of series that makes people eventually point to and say, well, look, that's why we don't look at him as a guy like one of the top 3 that I mentioned.
So we're all agreeing that that's fair. That if he can't prove himself this season as a guy that can, take over his team, if he's a guy that can't prove that he's a clutch player, these, no one's arguing that he's not really good, but that he's like an all-timer or a part of the
He's
great
an MVP caliber player.
These are all valid arguments. It's not just people hating on him. You would agree they're valid arguments.
I agree they're perfectly valid. If they were playing, it's like I didn't criticize Luka Doncic for the Mavericks' failures to beat Boston last year. I mean, internally they did, but I didn't think that was not a winnable series to me for the Dallas Mavericks for a lot of reasons that had nothing to do with Luka Doncic. This is a winnable series for Boston, even with Porzingis playing at 25%, even with Jaylen Brown playing at 85%, even with Sam Hauser out for however long he's going to be out. This is still a very winnable series. It's only winnable, though, if Tatum plays like an MVP. If he plays like an MVP, the Celtics are going to win this series. I think it's 6 games. If he falters and has one of those 23 points on 9 of 22 shooting nights, 2 of 7 from 3-point range, they're going to lose. I don't think they can really survive that type of performance. So to me, this is, you don't want to say the most important series of Tatum's career because the finals was and they came up and won, but outside of that, to me, this is the defining postseason series for Jason Tatum.
Real quick, just around the NBA, the story this morning from Sean Sharania is Giannis Antetokounmpo is open to being traded for the first time in his career, even though he hasn't asked Milwaukee officially for the deal. You'd have to think Milwaukee trades him up this offseason. There's nowhere else to go for them, correct?
I've been saying Milwaukee trades in this offseason for weeks. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills with people that are saying, the Bucks shouldn't trade Giannis because you don't trade a player of that caliber. There's nothing more certain than if Giannis stays in Milwaukee and they finish 500 next year and get bounced in the first round. That is an absolute lock. That is the ceiling for that team because Damian Lillard is not coming back next year. Achilles injuries, even when you're healthy, you're not really healthy for another 6 months after that. Next year is a lost year for the Milwaukee Bucks. This summer, you've got Houston sitting out there with a ton of assets. Mm-hmm. You've got San Antonio sitting out there. I'm here in Chicago for what should be the greatest night in the history of Maine basketball. But you've got San Antonio with a chance to win a lot of, win the lottery, bump up in the lottery, and have a ton of assets. Oklahoma City's out there, tied at 2 with Denver. If they go out, there's going to be pressure on them to make a deal with all of their assets. You could have a bidding war amongst some really interesting teams for Giannis Antetokounmpo that could send you the kind of rebuilding package that we've seen teams like Oklahoma City get for some of its stars in the past. It's almost basketball malpractice, guys, to not trade Giannis to one of those teams this summer. If you hold on to him for nostalgia and for this idea that we could sell more tickets because Giannis is in a Bucks uniform, that to me is it's just loser talk. That's the idea that you could accept being a first round and out team. That is not how you should function as an NBA franchise. So I've long been of the belief that, this rock has already started rolling down the mountain. And when we get to June, we're going to be talking a lot about a Giannis trade.
All right. And so this is, the lottery is tonight and this is the Cooper Flag draft. Are you going to be there checking to make sure there's no frozen ball or something of that nature?
I will be in the drawing room as I try to be every year. And just to forecast, I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of weeks. I've been off the Celtics series because I've been on Team Flag here and working out a story on him. I just tell you one thing about this guy. I have absolutely no idea how he got this good. Like, no idea. Like, he's up until he was about 14, 15 years old. Like, his basketball development was like pickup games in his backyard against his twin brother. Like, this guy is a prodigy in every sense of the word. But every team that I talk to about him are just tripping over themselves for the chance to be part of the Cooper Flag experience. Like, teams I talk to in the Eastern Conference that aren't even in the lottery mix, they're just praying he goes west because they think this kid is going to be that kind of special. So it's a big night for Maine basketball, which if you go down the list has not had a lot of elite basketball players come out of that state.
Well, listen, Brewster Academy is in New Hampshire, and they are they're an elite program, my friends. So, and that neighbors Maine, I imagine. Right, New Hampshire.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Neighbors, Maine. I would have to hope so.
Listen, nobody. I am a annual trekker to Sebago Lake every year, including this year. Every year since I was like 5 years old, I've gone up to Sebago Lake. I love Maine, but Cooper Flag's from a town of 3,000 people, and he spent most of his young life in Newport, Maine, competing up there. The fact that he emerged from this Maine wilderness to be this future superstar is truly a remarkable story.
Do you think that it was hard living in the shadow of Jordan Hudson, who is also from Maine?
I think it was very difficult. I think Duncan Robinson, who I believe was from York, Maine, I think that set a bar as well. But you're right. Those Miss Maine pageants must have been fun to watch back in the day.
I wonder if he used to look at the Holiday Inn where the Miss Maine pageant was held and stare longingly at it. And one day, Cooper, you'll be able to stay at that Holiday Inn. All right. Chris Mannix, thank you so much for the time, sir. We always appreciate it.
You got it, guys.
Thanks,
All right,
Chris.
there you go. Yes, indeed.
Danny Ainge, Utah's going to get the number one pick tonight, and Danny Ainge will have another guy. Because
Well, good.
Danny Ainge.
If you want your star to shine, there's no better place than Utah.
Yep.
So good for him. I mean, if you want to be a full-on celebrity, that Utah.
Salt Lake City, baby.
Right. All right.
A lot of house for the money.
But listen, what do I know? I mean, it's beautiful. I've been told beautiful.
Bit of a dust problem there in Salt Lake in recent years. Dust bowl.
Well, I hope Salt Lake isn't. We'll have to ask Adam off the air if the water is falling due to the climate change. I'm sure he's on
Hence
top of
the
that.
dust.
Yeah. All right. Not dust that Bill would have to clean off of himself before coitus. All right.
Which you have to, because otherwise you could contaminate the needle, which is going in. So you got to clean that area.
Well, listen. I mean, you got to tie off. You got to do a lot of stuff.
They include the little alcohol swabs with the kit.
Listen, when I'm doing the TRT, baby, I give myself a little alcohol swab. Don't worry about it. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub. What's the best way to listen to Toucher and Hardy?
Well, you're going to have to spend $40.
Cough it up, and let's get back to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. If you'd like to email us, you can. You can go to 98.5 The Sports Hub and find all that information. You can follow us on Instagram at Toucher and Hardy, and you, more importantly than any of this, can follow me on Instagram at Fred Toucher, where I'm constantly putting photos up of me and my much older girlfriend. Where I'm, we are doing that. I wheel her out and I put her in various costumes.
What was the?
I put a trash can around her Little Rascal and put a Oscar the Grouch face on, and I went as Big Bird. That was our latest fun photo that we took. I, of course, am referring to the people that sent us a cease and desist before we even played any audio, is the people of the Miss Maine competition, which the Boston Globe was there, and they said she did not win. The woman that won is extraordinarily attractive, and Hudson did receive the pageant style award voted by the staff to the girl who best expressed her individuality and personality through her wardrobe, hair, and makeup choices.
Yeah, should we, I mean, really turn away from the second runner-up conversation and focus in on Shelby Ann Howell of Bangor, Maine, who actually won the competition.
And if you see her, it's obvious that she should have won. If it's a beauty pageant and it's based on looks, which it is, I would she should win.
Yeah, well, they don't do the talent portion anymore. So, yeah, it's almost exclusively based on looks and how you answer the question,
so what were the categories if we took
introductions, swimsuit, evening gown, and Q&A.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. And we could play Jordan's Q&A because it was on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that was on YouTube. We paid money on the broadcast and painstakingly went through it, but they did not want that. But then again, I don't know if it was the pageant that didn't want it or the people at the Holiday Inn where it was held.
We have a listener suggestion of a workaround for future reference. I think we mentioned it earlier in the show. If we get a transcript of the proceedings, Hardy could read as Jordan, and you could ask him the questions. You see what I'm saying? So it'd be like the listeners were there.
It's a great idea, but the fact is we do have 90% of what she said out loud. So it's
okay.
Unnecessary.
Listen, I love the Boston Globe, but this was reported unfairly. They say, they said Jennifer Hudson didn't have a big audience. Not that many people cheered for her. Jordan Hudson didn't have that big an audience because only her father was there with her. Her father is in his 40s and looks like he's in his 30s. I got to tell you, he's a good-looking fella. It's not his fault any of this is going on, but he had to sit there next to Belichick.
Who could be his father. His father.
Oh, you think? Yeah, he could have had him when he was 30. I mean, come on, John. Reporters and photographers from the New York Post, New York Times, People Magazine, Washington Post, and more national outlets attended the two-day event, which you would think that they would be excited and want us playing audio of, but I digress. I think they unfairly thought we might make fun of it. Paparazzi staked out the Holiday Inn's otherwise unremarkable lobby. Now, that's editorializing. I've heard the Holiday Inn in Portland, it has at least $45 worth of art.
Well, reading the description of the hotel, make yourself at home in one of 239 guest rooms featuring refrigerators and microwaves, which is what you want in a fine hotel. You want to make sure it's got a microwave in there.
Well, the Four Seasons Palm Beach is known for its hot plates. So that's really the difference between the two.
Complimentary wireless internet, private bathrooms with shower tub combinations, also a benchmark of any fine luxurious hotel suite. You want that shower/tub combo.
Wait, so you're telling me that I can, when I go to urinate or defecate, I'm in my own bathroom
Yes.
and not sharing one
Private
with the other people in the
bathrooms
hall?
with the shower/tub combo. Conveniences include safes and desks, as well as phones with free local calls.
So you can lock up your valuables at the Holiday Inn because Lord knows the gemstones that you're holding need to be put in some kind of
Man,
safe.
Look at this workout room. There got to be 3 treadmills in there.
Well, that's a lot. Now they're not. You have to run on them, and it just the ground moves. It's not like they move on their own.
We got a tweet earlier here. Holiday Inn. Hi, checking in. My organization has a room block. Great. Is it the Miss Maine competition, Skylar's bachelorette party, Bangor T-ball championships, or the Cutco knives thing?
The pageant's website,
Thank you,
according to
Ryan.
the Boston Globe, also crashed Sunday morning and remained unavailable throughout the competition because of the overwhelming traffic.
Ah.
We got it to work, apparently. I mean, the Miss Maine, that's $30 in pocket. You would think that they'd want to advertise this. And again, the woman that won was very, very, very attractive. But Hardy has acquaintances of him that are getting annoyed with him because we were talking about the Miss Maine competition being held at the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know if I'd go so far as to say annoyed, but this is somebody that we all know and that you.
I would remember her because she's extremely good looking. I don't remember her at all.
Yeah.
But then again, I was drinking heavily at the time.
So Julia served for a brief time as a receptionist for the Sports Hub when we were over on Soldiers Field Road.
Okay.
Former Patriots cheerleader and pageant contestant herself. Really lovely person. Did some on-air work with JD the DJ on the station that was upstairs.
Again, another person I don't know if I've
You don't
ever
know
met.
JD the DJ?
No.
Okay. What was the name of that station? 12.
Where? Which location are we talking about?
On the mix floor, the one on the other side.
There was Amp. And it was Oldies, then it was Amp.
Yeah.
Was JD the morning show host?
TJ was the morning
No,
show
TJ's
host.
a really good guy.
Yeah, he is. That was a great show, too.
We have the same age.
JD, great guy. He works with, we're getting so inside now, but he works with Julia, our former promotions director. He spins at the fangirl parties now.
Okay.
Okay? I'm
Yeah,
getting
sure.
way inside.
Well,
All right, but Julia's great, right?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, but Julia, who we worked with for a time, and I know a little bit, she tweeted at me, Hardy, all caps, exclamation points, you be nice about my pageant family, exclamation point. To which I said, can you ask your family to lift the cease and desist? She said, haha, no, I'm exhausted. I need a big margarita and chips and guac. So she was.
So we would have gotten along great when I was working at that station.
yeah, who knew?
Yeah, right around this time. No, I'm just kidding.
So Julia, no harm meant to your pageant family. We just desperately wanted to share some of the festivities on the air this morning, but we got the preemptive cease and desist.
In fairness to Maine, too, we were making light of that it was held at a Holiday Inn. Miss New Hampshire is just in the parking lot of a Costco. So, these are like sweet digs comparatively. So, there you have it. She couldn't wait for the opportunities that come with winning a pageant held at a Holiday Inn. She couldn't wait for that. And by the way, she's wants to save Maine fishermen, which only Miss Maine could do. Because they're given the ability to walk on water and create fish.
Well, so much so that she managed to shoehorn that into the one question she was asked: if you could relive one moment in your life, one moment, what would it be and why? And then she starts talking about fishing. Not one moment fishing, but the fishermen who have been displaced and going to the communities and the legislature to go to the government and advocate for the people. They don't have to think
I am banging a 73-year-old man. So you will listen. All right?
Hear me now!
I am the world's worst PR person. So you will listen to me. I carry a clutch that says Save Maine Fishermen, which is a call to action to do what?
Okay, but
no one knows.
The one moment in your life that you would relive, which is?
I would like to save Maine fishermen.
Okay.
I would like to go back to the first time my boyfriend injected his penis in order to perform. Because it was so beautiful and so magical.
Yeah.
Hashtag hypodermic needle. Hypodermic needle emoji.
I'd like to go back in time to that moment I realized my boyfriend truly loved me, so much so that he took out a needle and injected his own penis so that we could have relations.
Which is a great thing that's available to people that have erectile dysfunction. It's fantastic, and I'm not kidding. It's like a great thing. It's an entire Pablo Torre is the one who brought this all up. I'll play the clip one last time in case you want to know. He was on Dan Patrick. This was all on Dan Patrick. Here we go.
In the final 30 seconds.
Who did not send us a cease and desist about using their audio. Every day we use audio from all over the media. Never cease and desist.
When's the last time we got a cease and desist, except for playing a record? It's probably BCN days.
Yeah.
Like for playing a record that we weren't allowed to play yet.
Probably.
It's never been a problem. It's like never in my career been a problem. It's funny that they did it, and they did it preemptively because the Miss Maine pageant doesn't want to be made fun of. Again, the woman that won is really good looking, and the Miss Maine from last year is in a picture in the Boston Globe, and she's super good looking too. You crown really good looking women, and that's the goal, right? So I'm giving you your just due. These women are really, really attractive. I don't know what else you want me to say about it. I mean, it's a real JV operation. I mean, you want me to act like it's great? The Holiday Inn?
In the final 30 seconds, what do you think is next in this story?
I think you're going to...
By the way, he gives him a minute once he starts talking.
In the final 30 seconds, what do you think is next in this story?
I think you're going to see people push back on the reporting out of North Carolina that I've said, which is that there was a power struggle in which the adults had to intervene. I think there will be disagreement about that. And I think that what is happening to my phone will continue to happen, which is that it will continue to melt. I signed up for this. I get it. Aggregation interviews like this are all great. I hope people listen to the episode. But I can tell you that everybody who's dealt with Jordan Hudson, and one person said, quote, she is the worst person I've ever dealt with on earth, and I have dealt with actual sociopaths. I'm not saying that is everybody. I'm just saying this story, Dan, is extreme, and there's a lot, including injectable erectile dysfunction drugs, as just a brief tease for what else we had to find out.
Nice tease there. Great to talk to you. Thank you, Pablo.
As I always dreamed, Dan, as I always dreamed.
Of course.
Kevin says the Miss Maine segment earlier was incredible, literally crying, laughing, well done. One person liked it, at least, so we got that done.
Then we've done our job.
Well, then we've done our job.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill, this is just how you envisioned your career ending, isn't it? This is just how you envisioned it.
I don't
think he's probably fond of Pablo Torre.
1 week into this, 1 week into dating this girl or even sleeping with her, I mean, he didn't. He probably understood some part of him that it wasn't going to end well.
Oh, when the Ring camera footage went viral?
Oh,
yeah, that might have
God.
been a hint that maybe this wasn't on the up and up.
There's no way out, and it's going to follow him around forever. I mean, that's incredible to say.
And the last thing I'll say about it today is this. If you want to think about the 2007 season, going into that Super Bowl with the perfect record and the way people were talking about Belichick, and think if you knew then that this was going to be happening in 2025, you wouldn't have believed it in a million years. You would have wrote it off. You would have gotten on Twitter and said whoever suggested it was a jealous hater. You hate us because you ain't us. But, my friends, it gets worse every day. It gets worse for him every day. And it couldn't happen to a better person. That's why I enjoy it so very much. So very much. An inhuman bully who apparently, according to Pablo Torre, his girlfriend ain't much better. So there you go.
Well, he only compared her to a sociopath.
But a sociopath is just someone who doesn't feel emotion, correct? So they could actually be a good person. Like a sociopath just doesn't feel emotion or empathy.
You're hard pressed to get me to to agree that a sociopath could be a good person. I don't think so.
I read a book called I'm like a Psychopath, and sociopath might be different than psychopath. And the woman, I stopped listening to it. Oh, it is? Okay, so psychopath is what I was talking about. Ignore everything I just said. We'll be right back.
Sports Hub headlines.
stack mark, stack mark. Ready?
It's time for The Stack on Touch Your...
Actual guess.
Because you have cheated in the past.
Oh, and
and
I've
admitted
fessed
it.
up to it.
Yeah,
Sure,
you have fessed up to it. So
No.
that I'll give you credit for.
No, I did not cheat. That was a lucky guess.
The prop was custom made, and while it's been restored slightly, Pawn Stars is not going to like that.
Yeah, you can't like that.
To make it appear closer to what it looked like in the film, we're told the surviving elements have been kept intact.
Yeah, that's like the thing with anything. It's heartbreaking to see someone who like finds some coin and finds out it's worth like a ton of money. So then they clean it.
Yes.
And then it completely ruins the value of it.
So there was, well, I was watching Pawn Stars a lot back in the day. I think a lot of us were. And they would find the chunks of coins that had kind of like fused together from shipwrecks. And that's what they wanted. Like, don't touch it just as it came off the ocean floor. And some people would like, oh, I scraped away some of the barnacles here. And you could see, they're like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Leave it.
I always feel really bad for people because it's even if it's not worth like life-changing money, it's like so cool to like, oh wow, I thought this was just garbage and now this thing is worth something, and then they get excited and clean it all up, and it's like the people that want it don't want it that way.
Right.
And that's the same thing with any kind of memorabilia. People want it untouched, unmodified in any way. Classic cars, anything.
So depending on what version you're watching, and it seems like more versions than not, the scene where Pee-wee is pulling the chain out of the little cargo carrier on the back as he's chaining his bike up.
Yes.
At the outdoor mall thing, you can see the chain feeding through the bottom of the little cargo carrier.
Thanks, Hardy.
Well, there's number one, and here's something else that will ruin you. 16 candles, okay?
Yeah.
Can we talk about this? We're watching it the other day, and Marcy points out, she said, look at the grandma. I'm like, what? The scene when they're leaving for the wedding.
Okay.
And they're having the fight about who's going to sit where. And for some reason, they're only taking the one car, and they're going to 6 people piling into this, this Buick sedan. And the maternal grandmother or the fraternal grandfather, the dad's mom.
Yeah.
She's scrambling around, and they're no, you get in first. She ducks down by the hood of the car, and the car pulls out, and you can see her ducking down. She never gets into the car. It'll ruin it for you, that one scene.
You suck.
She never gets in, though, John.
Boy, I had the wrong impression of John Hughes all these years.
Right? You thought he was a stickler for details.
I thought he was a good director, and now it's just he's a piece of trash.
Where's the continuity director on set that day?
The funniest thing about that is, have you ever taken a muscle relaxer before?
Yeah, sure.
The idea,
do you have any?
No, you'd be fine with a muscle relaxer. That's my point. Is like they work at what they're supposed to do.
Try 4,
but they've never given me like a woozy feeling.
She took 4, Frank.
Not a busty woman, that Jeannie.
No, was that her name?
I don't know. That's the one smoking that they keep, or is that? I'm getting Vacation confused with Christmas Vacation confused with that movie, but I think that's the one where she's smoking and she's trying to catch the ashes. I've watched that movie with my children. All right, that'll do it for us. Everyone, save Maine fishermen. I'm good. How? It doesn't matter. It's just I'm putting it out there, and that's all that I have to do to be a hero.
Ginny
is her name.
Ginny.
Okay. That'll do it for us, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
Talk to you tomorrow. Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
This is Stephen